Time to learn some things. I know it's looked pretty grim, and with good reason. And I titled this program, Has Toxic Femininity Doomed Men? For the better part of the last 6 decades, it has been all a societal downward spiral. As we have watched and witnessed as the situation has gone from being not taking you seriously to hostile to now downright deadly against you. And it's got us asking the question, has this toxic feminine culture destroyed men? Are men doomed? Now, if you go and listen to the red pill dudes, well, of course, the answer is obvious. For them, the answer is, yep, it's all over. Men are done, and that's it. But what you are going to hear here is something you've never heard anywhere else before. You have not heard it, and you certainly will not hear it in this type of detail. And it will all be facts and numbers based, not opinion or conjecture. I'm actually very hopeful for the future, and I don't mean the distant future, I mean the very immediate future, immediate next 20 or so years, not 50 or 100 years from now. And the reason for that is not because just of what we do here. It isn't just because things change. It isn't just because of wishful thinking. It is because I track the numbers. And there are some things that you should be aware of, and it matters where you get your information. First of all, let's be clear about a few things here. This is the global population for females. As you all know, I told you about this months ago, that for the longest time we've had this trope, common knowledge, that women outnumber men on planet Earth and pretty much in most geographic areas. But as a total population of humanity, women outnumber men. Now, it's usually by a couple of percentage points, although based on your geographic area, it could vary wildly. But for the most, and once we get into certain characteristics, it can skew outrageously so. But for the most part here, the female population has always been a couple of percentage points at least higher than men. At least that's what it's been. And so now we are seeing through the UN, the World Bank, and by the way, these stats here come verified by the World Bank. So they want to make sure their money is good. And as you can see, it has been a downward spiral here. And at this point now, women make up only 49% of the world's population. Men are now over 50% of the world's population. Now, there will be some people who will attempt to argue this and say, well, it's not like it's a huge number. It's like 60 million or so. And, that really skews for China and India. China's one-child policy in India. You can have these selective abortions. Well, it's the women who wanted the abortions, but all right. That's just what it is right there. So you're conflating things there. It's just China and it's just those places there. That's what it is right there. So don't try to make it seem like it's something that's not. Okay, perfectly fine. No problem with that. I won't make it seem like it's something that it's not. Well, you didn't see this coming now, did you? And by the way, you can go and look all these things up for yourselves. From iNews, a male surplus, men outnumber women across Europe. And by the way, this article is actually from 2016, but it has relevance today, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But in this article here, all the way back in 2016, they were analyzing the fact that, and I'll read a little bit of the article here for you. Swedes, they're talking about people from Sweden, do not quite know what to make of their sudden surplus of males. For the first time since records began back in 1749, the country now has more men than women. This is highly unusual in the West, where women historically have been in the majority in almost every country, but it may be a sign of things to come in Europe, as changes in life expectancy and migration transforms demographics. The tipping point in Sweden happened in March last year. Remember, this article is from 2016, when population statistics showed 277 more men than women, the gap has since grown to beyond 12,000. While that's still small in population of almost 10 million, it's, quote, not unreasonable to suspect that Sweden will have a big male surplus in the future, said Thomas Johansson, a population expert at the National Statistics Agency, SCB. Now, I'm going to read this next part because you need to be aware of some of the phrases I'll be using here and some of the jargon I'll be using, but this is what they use when they talk about male-female ratios. They're usually counting 100 to 100. So for every 100 females, are there 100 men? Are there 97? So that's the ratio. They use ratios to count these things or to categorize them. It goes on to say, despite a natural birth rate of about 105 boys born for every 100 girls, European women have historically outnumbered men because they live longer. Now, this isn't that women are born more necessarily, but because, by the way, when you count a population, you have to count everybody, including the elderly, and women usually comprise more of a majority of the population because they live longer. And the reason for that is because men have been carrying the brunt of society's burdens. The men have been the workhorses. The men have taken on the overwhelming majority of the risk in order to, quote, provide for their families. The women have not done this. The women have been beneficiaries to such a generous degree that they have outlived men. In some cases by a decade or so, depending on where you're counting. So they have been tremendous beneficiaries of men's work. Now it says here, but the number of men per 100 women, known as the sex ratio, is increasing. Norway swung to a male surplus in 2011, while Denmark and Switzerland are nearing a sex ratio of 100, and Germany, which had an unnatural deficit of men after 2 world wars, has seen its sex ratio jump from 87% in 1960 to 96% last year. Remember, this was 2016. Britain's sex ratio rose from 93 to 97 in the same period. UK statistics officials project that men will be in the majority by 2050. How many of you were aware of that? While you've been listening to the red pillars and the so-called MGTOW dudes and the guys hiding their heads in the sand and talking about all their highfalutin theorizing and hypothesizing and guesstimating about the world. By the way, did any of them ever bother to actually take a look at what the real numbers are when they try to regale you about their knowledge about numbers? By the way, did any of them actually look at what the real numbers are? Well, I could be bothered to do so. So in Europe already, now you can't blame that on the China-India thing. You can't say that's selective abortion. You can't blame it on that. Now, can you? So for anybody who's going to try to say, well, you know, China and India, they got 1 billion people in selective abortion. Okay, well, that's Europe. Well, Jason, okay, all right, fine. Okay, are you going to stop now? Let them talk. Okay, I'll let them talk. Now, as I was saying, that was China and India. Okay, and you got lucky with this Europe thing. You got lucky with that. But that ain't everywhere. That is not everywhere. You can't sit up here and keep saying that. That's not everywhere. Oh boy. Well, things are about to get a little awkward here. Now, aren't they? For those of you who are unaware, this article is from 2015, a year before the one that I just read. This is from 2015. Why are more baby boys born than girls? So you see, When it comes to births, boys are actually born more than girls. However, the men historically have sacrificed themselves on behalf of the women and the children. So the women have benefited because the women have not been forced to get out here and get it on their own. Their life expectancy has benefited greatly from it because they have lived easier lives. But those lives weren't something that was just given to them by fiat. It was given to them by men who sacrificed themselves. But this is about the United States now. Scientists have found some unexpected clues that could help explain why 51% of the babies born in the United States are male. Now the article goes into them taking a look at the science of it and this, that, and the other. But the bottom line is, contrary to what you've heard, you have a majority female population, and yet the majority of the babies born are males. Something must be happening. If the majority of the births are to males, and yet the majority of your population is female, then something must be happening. There must be something occurring in between birth and, as it were, death. There must be something happening in between those two. Unnatural selection, if you will. There must be something going on there. And what does that tell you? What that tells you here is that as men, being willing to sacrifice yourself has been of a great benefit to a lot of people. And unfortunately, that has been weaponized and used against the men. And while other people are very, very dour about it, I'm not. I'm not, because I can count and I can be bothered to count. So I'm not because of that. I want to show you another piece of information here, because I want to show you exactly where these numbers come from here to make sure that you have all the information that you need. So the next thing I want to show you is, in case you were wondering here about exactly where it's going, this is a simple graph here showing about the U.S. population in percentages. If you'd like some more, I can show you some more. Once again, from the World Bank, as you can see, the U.S. female population, you can see what it's been doing now for the better part of half a century. Ever since the so-called feminist movement, take a look at what's been happening. This is the U.S. female population, not China, not India. The U.S. female population. Now the U.S. male population. There had been a dip, but now without the wars to send the males off to, and with a work environment that has been easy on the females, guess what? It's been easier on the males too now. And guess what's happening? The male population is beginning to recover from no longer having to fight these huge frequencies of wars and being the chief breadwinner, being willing to say, this basically documents the number of males unwilling to sacrifice themselves anymore, is basically what you're seeing here. That's basically what you see. And in case you were thinking that, well, maybe that's a minor thing, take a look at the numbers. Now, what I did is I sat down and I went over the census numbers. Yes, I went over the census numbers from 1970 to the most recent census in 2020. So I wanted to be able to catalog 50 years, half a century, which is when we can trace back when the nonsense kicked off. Feminism, the so-called women's rights movement, and in reality, it was a take in many regards. But I want you to see what the numbers have been doing, because you've been told that your politicians, your media, your corporations, that the reason why they kowtow to the female population is because of the numbers. By the way, I thought I would just show you the numbers. And if you believe that the way things have been indicate the way that things will be, I'm showing you this because I want you to be aware. If you actually have the facts, it's a different thing. If you actually have the facts, you recognize this is a totally different thing. How many of you were aware that this is what was happening? If you take a look at the male population, you can see that since 1970, from 1970 to now, it has been in a clear and distinct trend upward. It's heading towards 50%. The female population has also been in a very clear trend over the last 5 decades. It's been heading in the other direction. Now, how many of you who are out there listening to the Red Pill and the MGTOWs and the Fresh and Misfits and the rest of those clowns, by the way, how many of you were aware that these were the facts and these were the actual numbers? And how many of you have just been abiding by the assumption that, oh yeah, we have a huge, outrageously large female population and that's just it? How many of you were aware that men in the United States are just this close to outnumbering the females? How many of you are aware of that? It doesn't matter what you feel about masculinity or femininity. That doesn't matter. I'm showing you the numbers. Or let's try this a different way. Do you believe that an anti-male feminist agenda is going to be carried and spearheaded and promoted by a male majority population? Do you believe that a majority male population is going to continue the abusive feminist practices of the last 6 decades? Do you believe that's what's going to occur? You see, there are ramifications of having a majority population. And up until now, for the previous 10, 12,000 years, the men were like, okay, we'll carry the society and the females and the children and whatnot will defer to us. The last 6 decades have taught males that the world has fundamentally changed and you cannot depend on that. And what I'm saying is, by the way, as these numbers begin to move, and let's be very, very clear, you won't make it to the 50%. You're going to see the changes happen before you actually cross that 50% threshold. You're already seeing it now in the fact that men are getting together and comparing notes and are speaking in a different vocabulary. So you're noticing that the men as a group are starting to get on code now, well before it ever actually reaches the official 50% threshold, much less crossing the 50% threshold. By the way, one more time, brief reminder, how many of you heard this from your so-called red pills, MGTOWs, no offense, high value dudes, the manosphere? How many of them actually went over the numbers and showed this to you all? Divine feminine, I'm going to deal with that here in just a moment because it won't be as good as you think it is. It won't be as good as you think it is, because that curve I was showing you, that means something. However, if you learned something here tonight, if you've learned something in the last 20 minutes that you didn't know, hit the thumbs up emoji for me and hit the like button. We need as many people as possible to hear about this. And by the way, you already know that my copycats and the rest of these people who are wrong most of the time, they get their information from me here. They're going to start updating their lexicon soon because they have to. I saved this. I've been meaning to do this program for a while, but I saved it for a while. You all, there isn't a single place anywhere else that has said what I'm saying right now, that has put all of this information in one place to substantiate it the way I have now. So it matters where you get your information from, or you just listen to a bunch of dudes sit around and complain and whine. What I'm telling you is that men don't have to accept this level of societal abuse and this feminist abuse that we've been accepting. You actually don't have to. And it's not simply because it's wrong, because it is, but it's not just because of that. And it's not just because you're better than that, but it's also because, by the way, the numbers make it very, very clear that we can change this when we decide to. We can change this when we decide to. Now, Divine Feminine, don't know what I'm going to do with her, but the problem with saying, well, isn't this a good thing for the women? It's raining men out here. Pretty soon it'll be raining men. And what you tell yourself is, well, if the majority of the population is male and the females are the minority, ideally what this would do is it would make a situation where the men will become more competitive. And that's what you think is going to happen. But in reality, as counterintuitive as it might seem, the opposite is going to be what occurs. You see, competitive men are already a minority among the men. Only about 25% of the male population, if you take a look at socioeconomics, education, assertiveness, and other factors, that's really only about 20 to 25% of the male population is actually competitive, and only 10% of the population is what I classify as ultra competitive. He's a guy who's not happy just getting by in life. He is a guy who wants to have power, wealth, and influence. He wants to be able to dictate what direction his life goes in. He's the guy who sits up and on his own, when he gets up every day, he is looking to better himself so that he can improve the lives of the people around him. But those fellas are a minority, a woeful minority, and they always have been. The problem is men are not something that are manufactured like shoes or cars. They are created in the home based on who raises them. And if they were not raised in an environment that impresses upon them the value and the necessity of being a competent, competitive man when he gets grown, then he will just be a mediocre, struggling dude. So in reality, a majority male population will actually make things worse for the females, because what's going to happen is, instead of now where you have fewer men to filter through, you're actually going to be deceived into thinking you've got way more options than you really do, when in reality, all you really have are just more unproductive males, or at least more uncompetitive males. They're not competing for themselves, and they're not competing for you either. So now you'll just have more of them, and they'll come with different mindsets. So you're just going to have more detritus. Look it up. You're just going to have more material and more layers to go filtering through. That's all you're going to have. The same percentage of men who are ultra competitive, that's still going to be there, only now there's going to be another layer of uncompetitive men piled on top of it that you're going to have to go searching through. Now, as far as thinking, well, if there are fewer of us, though, this will force more of the men to learn to become competitive, because the guys who are not, even the guys who are not competitive, they're going to have to step their game up to get anything at all. Problem, that won't work either, because the majority of males today already don't have female access, certainly not the level of female access that they would prefer or like. Those guys are already in that position now. They're already in that circumstance now. That's not something they're going to get to later. We're already in that situation today. Those guys already don't get to pick and choose the females that they want. There will now just be more of them. That's all. Because you see, the men can become less competitive, but there is a problem for females. And the problem for females is that gravity is still gravity. The laws of physics will not change. Men's competitiveness and willing to serve you may change, but the laws of physics won't. What does that mean? A bag of groceries is still going to be 10 pounds when you try to pick it up. If you need to move a refrigerator, that son of a gun's still going to be a couple 100 pounds. If you need to move a stove, if you got to rearrange things, if you get a flat tire, you are still going to have to put the required amount of foot-pounds of torque on those lugs to get that wheel off. If something breaks around the house, you are still going to need that. In other words, the laws of physics will not change. The reason why women turn those things over to men is because we have 50% more muscle and 50% more bone density. In other words, we handle the laws of physics in this world easier. Men were sparing women from having to suffer and slog under the laws of physics. And unfortunately, were insulted for their pains and their efforts over the last 6 decades. And now it has resulted in a pitiful situation where, for the most part, all these mama's boys raised by single mammies, well, now you've got an uncompetitive male population that you are going to go dumping on the next generation of females. And that male population is going to be living easier lives. I say easier as in they're not built for manual labor. After all, the chicks are having to jump out here now because they've been so disrespectful. Now they got to jump out here, go to work, be the breadwinner, take care of things on their own. Oh, I can be the man and the woman. Okay, well, now you're going to have to worry about getting up and pulling your own 50 hours a week. If something breaks down, you're going to have to get up and put some elbow grease and flex that bicep so you can fix it yourself. Well, I'll go get somebody else to fix it. The problem is, it doesn't matter what you think about that. You can try that. You ain't holding like that to be able to do that on a regular basis. You ain't holding like that. You need a man. You need a man who is going to take the brunt of that punishment and the brunt of that burden. Instead, you will be saddled with a layer of uncompetitive men who are not fit nor willing to carry the burden. In the chat room, you asked, are the women going to start dying off earlier? Short answer is, by my predictions, yes. Yes, they will. They will, because up until now, you've been able to leverage femininity for male protection and productivity. As you hit a point where the females become the majority of the population, the corporate structure and the society is going to demand that the females produce more, because by definition, they will be the majority of the numbers. Well, we the most coming out of college, yeah, but the men have been carrying all the weight. We've been carrying the majority of the weight. So much for your degree. But as we go on, if the females become the majority of the population, yeah, you're going to have to start carrying the majority of the weight. By definition, you'll have to. So these corporations that demand to squeeze more productivity out of you, they're going to sit up and hit you with that. Now, there are going to be some of you are just completely incorrigible. And what you're going to try to do is say, man, screw that. What we gonna do is we're gonna hurry up and try to leverage our ovaries and see if we can get the government to give us maternity leave and child leave and this, that, and the other, and see if we can, grab all the benefits that we can. And that sounds great and sounds wonderful until you realize that, by the way, robots can do anything you can't do, or can do anything you can do. You don't really have any leverage. It sounds good in theory. In theory, it sounds great to you. But in reality, you don't have any leverage. And you're about to lose a lot more. But yes, I am predicting that you're going to see, for females, for example, when women start getting stressed out, what starts happening? When women get stressed, what occurs? We all know what happens. Yeah, they think they can handle it. They think they're going to be great. They think that's all going to work out wonderful for them there. But in reality, this is how they think of themselves, but this is how it really turns out. You see, up until now, when the men have been getting stressed, we've been falling over. Now the females are going to have to carry the same socioeconomic weight as the men, and they will not have a man to fall back on. And without that, they're going to have to figure out the answers. The women are going to have to now figure out the answers for themselves, and you will not have a man who is willing to sacrifice himself on your behalf. So what happens when women get stressed? When women get stressed, they start stress eating. They're the ones who created that term, stress eating. They start stress eating. They get depressed very easily. They want to take, quote, mental health days from work. Oh man, I can't handle the stress. I need some days off. I can't do all this here. They start putting on a lot of weight, not a little, a lot of weight. They say to hell with hair and makeup. Some of them stop bathing. It's every damn thing they can do just to show up for work. In other words, having to compete on a male level of just this relentless crush of competition and productivity. A woman is never going to work as hard as a man will to produce. A woman is never going to work as hard as a man to produce the same $100 worth of productivity. She'll never outwork a man. Never, ever. It's not in the biology. It's not in the physiology. It's not in the psychology. A woman won't do it. And I've been saying it for weeks now. A woman will never work as hard as a man will. Never. And when you start dropping more pressure on them, they pick up weight. They start getting depressed. They get sad. They start letting random dudes lay on top of them and give them kids because psychologically and emotionally, she's now disarmed and vulnerable and she's helpless. Her biology is screaming at her, we need a man to help us carry this load. So she follows the biology, but because she's in a less than desirable state, all she can really qualify for is Pookie. So she needs Pookie to help carry the weight, but Pookie don't carry any weight because Pookie is looking for a chick to carry the weight for him. Oh hell, it's a bad spot to be in. So yeah, you're going to see more women having more health issues, more women talking about being burned out, simply doing 90% of what a man does, not even 100%. If they ever make it to 90%, we're not even talking about manual labor. They won't even do 25% of that. But just to sit up here and try to reach 80 or 90% of what a man does, that will burn them out. Anybody who works at a large employer, where you've got a mass of males and a mass of females. The majority of the turnover is whom? The males or the females? When things get rough and things get stressful, the majority of the turnover is it the men not showing up for work, or is the majority of the turnover for females? Who do you hear talking about, I need to get me another job? Is that the males or the females when they start telling you all, okay, we got to do unannounced overtime, unscheduled overtime. We got to get it. The first thing the females try to do is say, oh, hell, I got to get out of here. I got to have an excuse. So in a global environment where the men are on there, in many places already do, and in America are on their way to outnumbering the females, are you ready? Have you had a chance to think it over? Are you ready? Are you ready? I want you to consider the ramifications of this. Because a lot of people haven't, and the conversation has been incredibly skewed and blindfolded. But now I've brought you actual numbers. I brought you actual numbers because I want us to start considering exactly what we're dealing with here, so that you know that I'm not just saying these things because it sounds cute. I'm saying it because as men, we need to consider this. And by the way, it's not going to be all peaches and roses here either, fellas. It's not going to be peaches and roses. What good does it do to have a male majority if we are unwilling to exercise that majority? What good does it do us to have a male majority and then we do not insist that the political policy, the social policy stops abusing us? Because right now you have a structure that's set up where everybody sits down every day, from the politicians to the schools to the media, trying to figure out how to abuse men. So what good does it do for us to have a male majority if we are unwilling to correct these abuses? If we're not going to use power in our own benefit, then basically it'll just be a male majority that's led by the females, kind of like a single parent home. Kind of like a single parent home. When you think about a single mother home, kind of like that. So if you have a chance to think it over, I wanted to do tonight's program because I wanted to go over these numbers, and nobody else has actually done this before and put it in one package for you. And there are many ramifications I could go over here. There are a lot of different things we could take a look at. I know there's a lot of things that we could consider, but I'm trying to keep this part of it brief because I don't want to dump too much on you too quickly, but you can very clearly see which direction things are going in. So the next time that you tune in to your MGTOWs and Red Pill people, by the way, for those of you who want to be entertained, there's a reason why I've never liked any of you folks who want to be entertained. The reason why accurate, reliable information is critical and key is because it's not enough to sit up here and whine and moan about the way that things are. It's not good enough to sit up here and complain and talk about woe is me. That's not good enough. You need to be able to project and predict where things are going. And when you can project and predict where it's going, you can be ahead of the curve. And if somebody is giving you actual reliable information, that's where you'll be. It's not enough to sit up here and talk about Morgan Stanley said there's going to be a she economy. Okay, Rolo was telling you that Morgan Stanley said there's going to be a she economy. Jason Black, however, is showing you the socioeconomic numbers. I'm showing you the population numbers. And what I'm telling you is that there's going to be a change in the way that men see things. Up until now, it has been a hallmark of men's identity to be willing to sacrifice themselves on behalf of the female population. That's why you hear these things like, oh, well, the women are usually in charge of the finances of the home. Well, yeah, that's very true. women usually are not in charge, but it's usually usually a good amount of it delegated to them. The man has delegated that authority to her. So that way he can go off and take care of other things. And that's what you should do. That's what you should do. You do want to delegate things. But what if you hit a situation where the men are no longer interested in that? Well, what do you do then? What do you do if there's nobody delegating anything to you here? What do you do when the men start looking out for themselves first? And all of the bitter, bloated, obese feminists and bitter, head-jacked baby mamas out there, when they're not holding sway anymore, what's going to happen then? When the men that they were depending on to look out for them first, because you understand, in the female psyche, well, if worse come to worse, I can wrap these legs around a pookie and get $3 or $4 extra. What do you do when the men are just like, yeah, we're going to look out for number one? What do you do when that becomes at least 40% of the male culture and psyche is, yeah, we're just looking out for number one. The women been looking out for number one all this time to the detriment of literally everything around them. They've been unapologetically trashing the environment and saying, oh, well, screw them. What do you do when the men say, well, you know what? We're going to look out. Now that we're the majority, we're going to look out for number one. We're just going to look out for us. We're just going to look out for us. In the chat room, Bruh45 said, become submissive overnight. Well, many of them will. Many of them will. But only if the men as a group compare notes and are willing to say, okay, enough is enough. No more being disrespected. No more being disrespected. It only works if you're actually willing to use what you've got. Other than that, it simply will not work. It simply won't. However, enough from me. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the program that laid the foundation upon which all these Red Pill, MGTOW, and all the other copycats. You'll be hearing them, by the way, it's not going to stop. You'll be hearing them altering their philosophies, rewriting their books, changing what they've been saying. You've been hearing them incorporating the things they've heard here. By the way, you're hearing that over there in the manosphere and the Red Pill dudes. Yeah, you're hearing it from them. And you'll be hearing this soon because, by the way, this kind of blows up a lot of what they've been saying all this time. This kind of blows it up. If you like what you've been hearing here so far, hit the like button for me. If you want to give us a call, you can go ahead and do that as well here. Also, I'm going to go ahead and post the link here on Zoom. And I'll post the Zoom link here. And to the females listening here tonight, if the females are listening here tonight, if you agree with this or disagree with this, go ahead and let us know. We'll bump you to the front of the line. And if you want to join us on Zoom, that's available for you as well. So go ahead and take a look there. I pinned it at the top of the chat room, at the top of the super chat. I pinned it there. So you've got that available for you as well. But in any case, the telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. And I want to know about your thoughts about the coming male majority. Now, I titled the program for now as Toxic Femininity Doomed Men. I'm going to retitle the program The Coming Male Majority. And I want you to think about that for a few moments here because nobody has actually spoken about this before in the way that I have here, but because up until now, you've just been told, well, that's that. That's that, and you just have to suck it up and just accept this abusive environment is the best it can be. Also, you all make sure you're sharing the program. YouTube is, of course, not sending notifications to some people, although you better check and make sure that all your notifications are turned on. Make sure all notifications are turned on, and make sure that you've got your YouTube notifications turned on. So you have to make sure that both are on. You can't half do it here. Going to go ahead and open up the phone lines here now. We'll take a few calls. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let me get caller from area code 385. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from? He's calling from the subway, so we'll leave him to his own devices. I think I got a long-distance international caller here. This is caller from country code 336. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, hello, Mr. Black. This is Abel calling from France, but I'm from the small island, the colony from the French island from Martinique.
All right, calling from France. What's on your mind?
Yes, I was kind of happy to see you touching that topic tonight because there has been a myth about female majority, and people tend to believe that there are more women than men in the world, but actually there are more men and women that are born. And hold on, give me a second here. And the thing is that if you break down the age by age group, you see that the men and women tend to have the same amount of people okay, sorry, I'm going to have to call you back.
Okay, I guess his baby mama walked in and told him, what the hell are you talking about women for? So, all right, we'll have to let him do that there. By the way, you can go ahead and give us a call at 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Let me get caller from, not sure who this is here. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, you're on live. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Texas, and what I would like to say is,
okay. You have to have your name. Thank you very much. Folks, I can't ask 3 and 4 times. Caller from area code 347, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is John from Brooklyn.
Okay. Folks, if you're calling up, you cannot be calling in on your cell phones on speakerphone because you're running around the kitchen. Okay. Might make me wrap things up early since I opened up the telephone lines, and so far it's been silliness. So now I'm like, oh hell, I'm concerned about what will happen next. Yeah, the woman from Texas there, she sounded like she was really, really upset too, as a matter of fact. I want to say, damn, all you men's. Okay. By the way, shout out to all y'all in the super chat there, to my man Leo. And LaShawn also as well. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. And there's a reason why I'm doing this tonight. There's a reason why I'm bringing you this, because I want you to understand exactly what you're looking at here so that you can be prepared for the future. A lot of people are talking about situations. They're talking about relationships. I'm talking about power dynamics. That's the only thing that I discuss. And I know that this seems a little bit dry. I understand that. This will seem a little bit dry, but in reality, it's actually far more pertinent than you might think. I know it just seems a little dry, but it's more pertinent than you might think. Now, by the way, on the telephone lines, if you're calling from a Skype number or a private number, we do not allow that. So if your call drops right now, that's because you're calling from a Skype number or a private number. If you don't show your number, we're not going to talk to you. Let's go ahead and get caller from area code 910. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. This is Trey from San Antonio, Texas, by way of Fayetteville, North Carolina. How are you doing today?
All right, Trey from San Antonio. What's on your mind?
Hey, you kind of alluded to this. I want to say in a video maybe 2 years ago about. I think you were shooting the video down in Atlanta, Georgia, for New Year's Eve, and you saw the different the dynamics between the women and the men, and how the direction that people are going into right now. And I just wanted to bring that up. And I mean, you called it, and it's alarming. And I think that it's fixable, and especially in the Black community. But it's going to just take some time. That's all I have. B1.
Well, we didn't get into this mess overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight, but thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 347. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace. This is John from Brooklyn. I'm sorry. I tried to call earlier, and I was on that Skype situation.
Okay, John from Brooklyn, what's on your mind?
Yeah, man. I listened to your show yesterday. I mean, actually today, I listened to your show from Friday. You mentioned the Pookie situation. And, you know, I listened to that dude from East St. Louis. And, you know, I feel bad for Black men that's, you know, all over. But, you know, specifically in those areas, to have to settle for women, you know, I've never been to jail like that. But, you know, it was kind of sad listening to that program. I was hoping I could reach you on that note. Because you did try to educate the dude, and he stayed on that path of, you know, sit at home, take care of kids and stuff like that. No real man want to stay at home, take care of no kids. You know, tomorrow I'm about to go pick up my daughter. She's in the university upstate. I'm in Brooklyn. I got to go rent the car to go pick her up because, you know, I tried to make sure that, you know, she's not going to fall into the crack of having a father that's not, you know, being aware, you know.
Well, you definitely don't want to have somebody who's not sure what's happening, because as the demographics change, being competitive and competent, those are the watchwords. Are you competitive and are you competent? It does us no good to have a male majority if it is uncompetitive and incompetent. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 210. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Mr. Business. This is Tony from San Antonio.
Okay, Tony from where?
Hello? San Antonio. Can you hear me?
Okay, Tony from San Antonio. What's on your mind?
Well, in regards to the topic, one thing that I'm curious about, and maybe you could probably give put your perspective on this. It seems like a lot of men who are competitive or who aspire to be in that competitive class, it seems like a lot of them would appear to be like pretty much leaving the country or going to less, I guess, more traditional countries or less feminist influenced countries. And it seems like if that ends up going that way, it seems like it would just ultimately almost cripple the nation overall, because you have a bunch of what's left is uncompetitive, pretty much incompetent men left to the society of women who don't respect men at all. So I don't see how we would, or at least in the United States or pretty much in the Western Hemisphere, would grow from this.
Okay. Well, let me find out a couple of things here, Tony, so I can understand your perspective on this. How old are you?
31.
Okay. And what to you qualifies as a competitive male?
Well, I guess before I qualify that, I will disclaim I am not in that class right now. I'm still working on myself.
Why do you think you're not in that class, Tony?
Well, first of all, I'm not debt free yet. I'm still, I'm still, I make enough to pay my bills, and that's about it right now.
Okay.
But,
Well, here's another thing right here. Competitive men have 9-volt batteries to put into their smoke alarms. Now, I was the guy who pointed out to people about that for women with their smoke alarms, and then, as you all know, Kevin Samuels thought it was a great idea. So it goes on. I'm not stopping. That's something I created, and by the way, it applies to men and women. He's 31 years old, and yet that chirping behind you hasn't activated a male gene, a male characteristic that says, I have to resolve that. So here's the reason I bring this up. The reason I bring it up is because you're asking a question about a class of male that A, the ones who do it are not doing it for the reasons you claim. Number two, though even the very, very few who do, who are willing to go globe-trotting for a wife, you don't understand anything about them. No offense, but you don't understand anything about these men. You're describing a class of man that you don't know. So what you're doing is you are assuming who they are and what they do and how they move and why they do what they do. But in reality, you don't actually know any of these people. And you're just saying, well, hey, it's the same thing you always get. Hey, is there some nirvana of femininity out there where the average guy is going to be worshipped? And that's just not the case. It's just not the case. Women, like I said, the bottom line is the laws of physics are going to stay the laws of physics. And as long as groceries are heavy, cars are dirty, spare tires are heavy, things around the house will break down and need to be fixed, women are going to be fighting with the laws of physics. And it will be far harder for them than it is for us. And that's just it. So as long as that's the situation, and by the way, the laws of physics are global. They're not relegated to Western countries. So fantasizing that there's some nirvana out there somewhere where the females are less demanding than they are in, quote, the West. Dude, you haven't traveled anywhere. From Thailand to Colombia to any place you can name, that's what they do. This attitude is global. OnlyFans should teach you that. Twitch. The biggest female cam girls on Twitch are Russians. We have a lot of learning to do. I suggest you get started. Let me get caller from from country code 336. Okay, he is not ready for life. Caller from area code 910. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. This is Tom from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay, and what's your name again? If you have your phone on speaker, if you're using earbuds, you need to take those off. You're coming through muffled.
Tron. Tron.
Okay, Tron from where?
Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay, Tron from Greensboro. What's on your mind?
I think that this current crop of females is going to have to die off. And actually, some of their children, they're just going to have to die off because the branches on the tree have already started to die. And you're going to need these new branches to come in and start a new crop of females. Because from just what I see going on, excuse me, a lot of these women, they don't have anything planned. I see on Facebook now all the time that you see, we're creating memories. They're going on these trips, but they don't have anything saved up, for the future for their children. So, excuse me, when the children finally do grow up, they're not going to have anything. And if they have children, it's just going to continue. So at some point, the current crop of females is just going to have to die off so we can start anew, because right now it's just going nowhere. And you're right about women taking off on jobs, because at my previous job, we had a new director come in. He was a male, And he was putting in the work. And a lot of those women, the older women, they put in retirement package real quick because they said, okay, we really got to work now. It's time to go.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, a lot of the benefits that they've been grifting, knowing that it's the men who show up for work, men not taking maternity leave, they've really taken advantage of that. They've taken advantage of it, and as opposed to being grateful, they've actually become less grateful, more disrespectful, more entitled. It turned to a bad situation. So what I'm saying is, as men become the majority, understand the socioeconomic landscape has already changed, but it's the social landscape, the lens through which men see themselves. Because we used to say it was your ability to take care of your family, that is your woman and your children, that used to be the gold standard. And in many ways it will be. But what I am saying is that as men become a majority, you're going to see things change, but only if men make it a priority to get involved and say, okay, the females have been jumping up at every turn to grab every piece of every mechanism in society to bend it to their will. The men have to ask themselves, are you willing to or going to do the same thing? Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. By the way, if you agree with that caller or disagree with them, that it's going to take a whole new crop of females, that the current crop of females are so badly damaged and corrupted that you can't actually do anything with them. If you agree with him, give me a call. If you disagree, give me a call. Either way it goes. If you agree, give me a call. If you disagree, give me a call. The telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. If you'd like to join us on Zoom, also the link is pinned at the top of the super chat. Let me get caller from area code 469. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Big Stomp from Dallas, Texas.
Big Stomp from Dallas. What's on your mind?
I want to make a couple points tonight. You've been trying to grab these women by the jawbone and bring them across the finish line to get them out of the clutches of hell, basically. And if they listen to you, they will be successful. It's kind of hard, man. These women are kind of habitually consolidated into this. I want to be independent. I want to be this, and I don't want to have to listen to a man and obey a man or be a man's helpmate. What they are genetically and designed to be, nurturers, and at the high, everything that's going to save their life. Something has consolidated them into thinking totally different, totally opposite, and now they're out here. But let me ask you this, okay? Like Lot. When Abraham in the Bible, when he tried to save Lot, and he said, if I just got 5 people over there in Sodom and Gomorrah, can I save the city? If the women would be, if the women would be better than a PlayStation 5 to a man, give a man at least PlayStation 5 piece, can we say? That's all I want to know, Jason. That's all I want to know. If they better than a cigar on Saturday night or the basketball game, can we say?
That's not the real question. The question isn't can we, the question is should we. Now, there's a real deep question to have to consider. The real question isn't can we do it? We can. Of course we can. The bigger question is should we? Because the last 6 decades haven't been a joke. It has not been in any way enjoyable to watch the females adopt essentially a white supremacist privilege mindset. That has not been in any way enjoyable. And the men are going to, like I say, memories are going to last. Memories are going to last. So you ask a good question, but my question would be, should we? Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a call from area code 949. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. It's Steve from Newport Beach, California.
All right, Steve from Newport Beach. What's on your mind?
I really like this topic today, and I think I'm just going to keep it really quick. I think if there's a male majority, in the future, I think society is actually going to become more violent because there's going to be less women available. And I really, because that's one problem that Africa's having with polygamy, is that there's so few guys, there's few guys taking a lot of the women, and there's fewer women left over for
sir,
the guys.
Sir, I'm not sure what amount of meth you've been doing. What you're saying is factually inaccurate, and very clearly your feet are not very well planted on the ground. So what you just said is completely inaccurate, but I suppose when you're floating off of a controlled substance, and I guess that'll happen, but when you get sober, when you dry out, or when you get out of rehab, maybe call us back then. But by the way, you want to talk about violent folk? How about the Russians invading Ukraine? How about that one? Just out of curiosity. Oh, no polygamy? By the way, and polygamy's not that big of an issue or a deal to begin with, but like I say, when you're floating, everything you say sounds like a good idea. Caller from area code 773, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Jason. This is Demarius from Chicago.
Demarius from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call. It's my very first time calling you. I would like to agree with the caller that called in about the generation of women that are that needs to die out. Well, I don't agree with that specific solution, but I agree with the sentiment that this current generation of women, by my experience, I'm 27, based on my personal experience dealing with women, that I personally don't see any real hope either. That's it. I just simply agree that this generation is unfuturable. They're vindictive, spiteful, stubborn. So that's all. I just wanted to agree.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 443. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, Justin. This is Frank. I'm Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Okay, I got a lot of immigrants calling me tonight. What was that name again?
It's Frank, Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Okay, friend from Garden, Georgia. What's on your mind?
So it's Frank from Fort Gordon in Georgia.
Okay, Frank from Fort Garden. Okay, we finally deciphered that. What's on your mind, Frank?
Anyway, I wanted to ask you. I have a cousin. My one of my uncle's oldest kid is a boy, and I asked him when I had a chance to visit if he had a girlfriend and what ethnicity she was, and he told me that it was a white girl. And I wanted to ask you, is there anything I can do to get him, on the straight and narrow in terms of his dating choices? Because I'm in the Army, so I'm stationed at Fort Gordon, and he's in Texas, so I don't know if there's anything I can do for him.
Okay, sometimes when people are young, you can teach them from your advice. When they get old, the world has to teach them. So all I can tell you is tell them when this goes bad, come back and holler at me. I'm going to try not to tell you I told you so. Because if he's doing it under bad pretenses, if he's doing it under white ice is colder, then that's a different matter. So there's only so much you can do, but at this point now, just let him know, okay, I can see we got some bad tendencies going on here. So when this blow up, I'm going to try not to tell you come on back and holler at me. Don't be scared, but I'm going to tell you I tried to tell you so.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I think it might be one of those situations where you have a black family in a majority white school district, and he told me that he tried to find a black girl, but he couldn't. I don't know how true that is, so I didn't bother arguing with him. But I just told him, I told him basically what you just said. I mean,
whenever you hear that kind of thing, whenever I hear fellas say that kind of thing, it kind of just jumps out at me that, it's like, okay, you say you can't find a black female. They're all over the damn place. You were born in a black neighborhood. I don't care what school he went to. He was born and lives in a black neighborhood. So if you find somebody who was born and lives in a black neighborhood and yet they're going out of their way to gravitate outside the community, takes a whole lot more effort. He's telling me it takes less effort to get a white girl than a black one. Get the hell out of here. It takes way more effort to get a non-black female. Most likely what it is unfortunately for some of these fellas, they're socially awkward. They're kind of cornball. And the females don't really dig them. So instead, the schools will force the boys and girls to be together. So it's a crime of opportunity in that regard. But basically, like I say, just let them know it's like, okay, I see what's going on. And when things don't turn out the way you think it is, come on back and holler at me. I won't tell you I told you so. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Let me get a caller from France. You're going to need to give us a call back next week. You've been having phone issues. Give us a call back next week. Caller from area code 646. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. My name is John, calling from Brooklyn.
John from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Thanks for the program today. Appreciate your intellect. Very smart individual, and I learned a lot from you. To the individual that noted that the generation has to die out. Well, the reality is that there's probably a significant amount of single mothers. They will probably pass it on to their children, so that's probably not a solution. But really what I wanted to ask you about is your view on what I'm hearing about the values of some of these women with respect to their willingness to not really want to be with an individual who has a 9-to-5, perhaps somebody that's a scammer or somebody that does anything other than have a reasonable, law-abiding job.
Okay, well, let me find out here. What exactly is your question?
Well, the question is the value system of some of these women. And so while we may be saying that they may not be in the minority, they're not picking these men anyway to be with. And so what does that mean for men that want to be with these women?
Well, here's the real thing. The real thing is a fella needs to make sure that he's straight first, because if you find yourself constantly in the company of substandard, hood radish, irresponsible females, you got to take a look at yourself. You're the owner, general manager, and coach of the team. And if your draft keeps including a bunch of deficient players, you got to take a look at yourself and how you're moving. Because here's the thing. You have to take a look at yourself and ask yourself one question. Am I the kind of man that top tier females, the kind of females I'm trying to be with, am I the kind of man that they are looking for? Now, that's what you have to ask yourself. Is that me?
Yeah.
Am I what they're thinking about when they get up in the morning? Or am I something else and I'm trying to tell the females, well, you should value me for my personality. Why, I'm a better person than Pookie and Ray Ray. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm broke and struggling and socially awkward, and my anime collection is on fleek. But, you should choose me for my personality. I have to tell fellas all the time, when you say things like that, a lot of guys out here today, it doesn't sound any better coming from you than it does from the females talking to you. You see, when a chick is a size 22 trying to tell you about how great her personality is, and you notice when you go to Facebook, that's where all the old females are now. Facebook used to be a place for young females, but it hasn't been a place for young females now for going on almost a decade. But the bottom line is, when you're the kind of females you're talking about, you're trying to tell them, hey, take a look at my personality. Well, that sounds the same as when the size 22 is trying to tell you, well, you just want them young, slender, thought chicks. It's like, okay, well, this is biology. There isn't anything about your great big steamer trunk build ass that's really making me feel motivated. And she's trying to regale you about her personality. Well, guess what? That's what you just articulated. Well, you should choose me over Pookie and Ray Ray because my personality is wonderful. And the problem is we cannot measure, sir, we cannot measure personality. We can't measure it. So we can measure productivity, but we can't measure personality.
Yeah, I understand. I think where I'm coming from with this is this. It appears that it's it appears it's becoming the majority. I mean, I hear it consistently. I mean, there's top tier women and so on, but dating is local.
Well, it's not appears. It's not appears, sir. No. It's not appears. It's not appears. This is not new. How old are you?
47.
Okay, dude, you're too old for this. It's not appears. Females have not changed. The problem is you have far fewer competitive males. Yes, are there single mother causes behind this? Of course, I understand that. But the bottom line is you have far fewer competitive males. The females are a female is never going to work as hard as you will. So she's going to go for the best quality of male she can get. And if all of you are by the standards of the things that she's looking for, if all of you are basically all remaining equal, then the tiebreaker is going to be, well, looks, swag, excitement. You have to distinguish yourself. That's your job as a man, is to make sure you're on point. And from there, on point people are looking for on point people. That's the bottom line. On point people are not looking for deficient people. Now, are there some silly females? Yes, but here's the thing. Those are not the on-point ones you're talking about. Some goofy-ass college chick who's sitting out here, going through her slut phase. Well, that's not the one you're talking about anyway. Now, the issue, however, is because as men, our requirements of women are different than their requirements of us. So, Miss 19-year-old, chick in college, she could actually do something. She's actually suitable to be with us in a certain capacity. And you're like, okay, well, she's wasting time. Well, you may be right. But then again, she hasn't really achieved that level you're talking about. That hasn't occurred either. So the bottom line is, for we as men, that's something that has to be taken care of seriously. Now, what do you do for a living out there?
I work in finance.
I work in finance. What the hell does that mean?
I work in a bank.
I work in a bank. Okay. So very glad to have a bank teller. That's great and everything. But like I say, basically the bottom line is, as men, we have to be more productive. The other thing is our personalities, man. Our personalities matter very much. Because part of being uncompetitive is having a recessive personality. You're like, for example, if you've been noticing that kind of problem, you're a soft-spoken guy. Just understand, females are not really looking for a soft-spoken guy. Because soft-spoken, without any of the other technical confirmation that she would need, soft-spoken is simply going to come across to her as meek. Doesn't matter what else you have going on, you're going to be her last choice, because if you're soft-spoken, that comes across to a woman as meek. And what you're doing is you're putting an obstacle in the way, because a woman responds to a commanding man. A woman responds to a commanding man just off top. You got to be all together first. Everything has to be in place first.
No, understood.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get called from area code 928. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Rick. I'm calling from Phoenix. How are you, Jason?
Rick from Phoenix. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just have a question for you. Several calls ago, you said that basically women overseas, they are much more desirable than the women here in America. Would you advise men?
Okay, let's not have a schizoembolism. I didn't say that. The caller said that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking you a question. Would you advise black men to travel overseas to find
No.
the right girl?
No.
Why not?
I would not advise any man to go out of his way because women around the world are the same. In the internet era, this is a great big ass urban myth that has been circulated amongst the uncompetitive, unimaginative, and uninformed. Women around the world, for anybody who's actually been anywhere, we all know the women around the world are the same. They are the same. There is no distinction. There is no difference. Hell, they got weaves, bastard babies. I mean, and I'm talking about white countries. They've got that now. This isn't new. This isn't some novelty.
Well, I beg to differ because I'll just tell you my experience.
Okay, sir, number one, we have no way of validating or confirming, quote, your experience. That's the first thing. Number two, even if everything that you think you're about to say were 100% accurate the way that you say it is, problem. That's just your personal experience. You in no way represent men in general trying the same thing. So even if I gave you both of those things, you still don't represent the typical experience of the typical average man attempting to do the same thing. That's the problem with this fantasy that you're about to try to articulate. That's the problem with it.
I just don't think it's a fantasy. I would strongly just advise a lot of men out there, if they have the resources, to go ahead and travel.
Okay, sir. Okay, let's go ahead and start there since I tried to spare you this, but since you won't do so, I tried to help you all. All right. Give me the profile of the type of man that you think would be able to do that. Give me the profile.
I'm just an average guy. I mean,
okay,
I just make $60,000 a year.
Sir, I'll say it again. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're trolling. Give me the profile of the type of guy you're talking about.
An average guy making median income, just a solid, good, upstanding man. If you go overseas, the women there are way better and a lot more attractive than the women here in America.
Sir, you're showing your ignorance. And by the way, you're proving every word I just said was correct by what you just did. What do you think median income is?
$42K. I make 60. I'm an average guy, and I'm in a current relationship with a Dominican girl.
Median income in the United States is 52,000. Now you're talking about among black men.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any children?
No.
Okay. Where do you live at?
I live in Phoenix.
And you make $42,000 a year.
No, I make 60.
Okay, then you can't speak for fellas making $42,000 a year. You're congenitally dishonest.
Well, I don't think I'm a special guy. I'm just regular. I'm not.
Sir, you cannot speak for men who are making $18,000 a year less than you are. What the heck are you trying? This is exactly what I mean. This is fantasy talk. And furthermore, on $60,000 a year, I'm going to go ahead and bite on that too, by the way, because he's going to try it. See, you have to understand, when fellas are defeated in this internet age, what they do is they go around swapping fantasies and fairy tales, and then they all go around geeking each other up on these lies they've been circulating now for over a decade. But okay, fine, we'll go for it. This guy claims he lives in Phoenix, Arizona. He claims he's making $60,000 a year. And by the way, how many times have you left the country this year?
2 times.
Great. How many days were you gone?
About several weeks, almost a month.
Okay, so you were gone for about 4 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, of the last 5, we're less than 5 months, or we're not completely 5 months into the year yet, but in the last 4 months, you have only had to work 90 days?
4 months? No. Well,
from January.
I work remotely.
Okay, sir. Okay. So you're saying that you've only had to work 90 days?
Well, I work more than 90 days, but I also do work remotely.
Okay,
but
sir.
My original point is,
sir. Oh no. Oh no. He knows he's in trouble. It's like, wait, do you know you're gonna ask all that? Yeah, we do, because we've all seen this nonsense before. Okay, he claims he was out of the country for 90 days. Why would you need to be out of the country for 90 days if you work remotely, sir?
I wasn't out of the country. I was only out of the country for about a month.
Okay,
Probably
sir. I asked, why would you need to be out of the
people.
country if you work remotely?
To be with my girl, to be with other beautiful women out there overseas.
To be with my girl and to be with other girls overseas. Now,
That's right.
sir, either you're just a hell of a catch and they just love you, or you're just the typical internet sex tourist.
I wouldn't call myself a sex tourist. I'm just stating that.
Now,
a lot
what
of
would
women
we
overseas,
what would we call you? Because we know you guys don't like to call yourselves that. Now, what would the rest of us call you?
I'm just a man that wasn't experiencing a whole lot of success here with women in America. They're very, very. They just have an inflated sense of
sir.
entitlement.
Last time, sir. The rest of us call you all sex tourists. What would you think that we should call you?
A good man.
Okay, so like I say, fellas, if you want to be one of these guys who goes tricking off overseas, okay, fine. You have to understand, in their little isolated closets and circles, they all tell each other that they're doing great. That's what they tell themselves. But they're often the deviancies. They're just a bunch of dudes running overseas real quick to do some super lame stuff. And then, I'm doing great. Dude, what's stupid about what you're doing is if you're going to pay for sex, you don't have to go overseas for it. That's stupid. That's a stupid use of your money.
I'm not paying.
You could do it in America. You don't have to sit up here and go trick off overseas. You could do it right here. That's the problem. Really kind of dumb.
Well, it's all about the quality, and the quality of women overseas are way better than the quality of women.
Okay, sir, you say that like you're talking to somebody who hasn't been overseas. I mean, you're talking like you're the only person who's been overseas. You realize that's how you're speaking right now, right? You're talking like you're the only person who's ever been overseas, and that you're the only one who's experienced foreign cultures like that. Do you realize that's the way you're talking?
Well, that was not my intention.
Okay, but what you're saying is, why is it then that there would not be universal agreement about that? There isn't, because it isn't. Because what did he name? Now, he said the Dominican Republic. Now, he said his chick is Dominican, but he didn't say he actually goes there. So the two places you went, where exactly were those?
The Dominican Republic and Colombia.
Colombia and the Dominican Republic. So, how many of you all would like to go to Pablo Escobar's hometown and take your chances? By the way, he calls that better than America.
Way better. Way better.
Okay, if it's if it's way better, sir, if it is way better, and if you work remotely and you were able to stay for a month traveling around and it didn't affect your job, what the hell are you still doing in Phoenix, Arizona? You should be camped out down there. It'd be a whole lot cheaper. $1 goes a lot further, and you wouldn't have to bounce back and forth. So why is it you are complicating your life by living in America?
You got a point. You made a valid point. I agree with you.
Yes, sir. So, when somebody is trying to pass off something that's patently false, the quickest way to be able to debunk it is just to use simple logic. So yeah, when somebody's saying something that's obviously not true, yeah, you can diffuse it really easy. Buddy, you guys have been trying to pass off this fraud now for well over a decade. None of y'all are balling. All of y'all are sitting. Most of you are lying. I'm not going to sit here and call you a liar, but I am going to say, by the way, he ain't been, sir. You don't have anything to show.
I have,
sir. You have a problem. You don't have anything to show me. And it's not going to be anything that changes anything, because if what you were saying were so accurate, you're silly and dumb as hell if you're staying here in the States. If it's so much better over there, and your job allows you to work remotely and you could do it for a month, why would you be so stupid as to stay here? If what you're saying is actually there's not enough of a language barrier that you couldn't stay for a month.
Well, there still is. I mean,
when these guys try to make this stuff up on the fly, they think they're talking to other children. You know, it's like being in a room full of sex offenders. They all agree with each other, and they think the general population agrees with them, or is as naive or dumb as them. And then they talk to the rest of them. It's like, actually, no, we don't. No, the rest of us don't get down like that. No, the rest of us are asking questions you all don't think about. You've been defeated and you're just accepting life as it is. The rest of us are actually asking questions. No, sir, we don't want any part of the sex tourism. We don't want any part of that. If it were really balling like that, you'd be living there. You would not be going back and forth. You'd be living there. You don't sit up and go for a place for a month and then come back here talking about, well, I work remotely. Okay, well, remote your ass down to Colombia and go get it popping. But it's still stupid as hell. This is irrational to talk about how great it is down there and then come back here so you can pay those overinflated prices. Allegedly, he's paying the overinflated prices in Phoenix, Arizona right now, when he could be living on half the money with allegedly twice as beautiful women with the same amount of money. This is stupid. If you're telling the truth, you're a fool. And if you're lying, you're an idiot for thinking that you can insult our intelligence. So which one is it?
All I have to say, black men out there, go overseas.
All I have to say is, fellas, if you want to be a trick, go ahead. There's whole groups of online lames, whole communities of them. These guys, if you can't pull Western females, who are among the simplest to be able to do, these females are getting involved in every grimy type of arrangement there is. If you can't master this, I'd be a fool to think you're going to go somewhere else and be running things. He's talking like a guy who hadn't, like nobody else has been down to Colombia, like you haven't seen how the chicks get down in Medellin and all those places that them guys like to visit and talk about they've been in Pablo's hometown and whatnot. They don't know Bogota and the rest of them. These guys talk like nobody else has been there. Man, they got Gucci, they got Louis. The chicks down there got plastic surgery. That's why these guys like talk about how hot the Colombian females are. Yeah, the Colombian females have been on that now for 30 years. And this fella's acting like he just discovered it in 2022. The Colombian females are about the paper. And any black man who has dealt with a Colombian female, dealt with a Dominican female, hell, to the fellas up there in the New York area, them Dominican hoes is grimy. Come on, okay. I'm going to get in trouble again. They hate it when I say that, but those Caribbean chicks, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Haitian, Puerto Rico, you name it. They're all up on the game. All of them. All of them. And these guys think they're doing something slick because some white dudes, let's be very, very clear where this came from. It was some white dudes who told them about the get down in Colombia. And then they went down there and realized, oh, you're a lame in Colombia, just like you are in America. Yeah, but he doesn't feel as self-conscious paying females and tricking it off in Colombia as he does in America. See, in America, the chicks dog you out after they do that. When you give it up for the chicks like that in America, they dog you out. They shame you. They dog you out. They humiliate you. The chicks over there, they'll just ghost you. When the paper runs out, they just ghost you. So they're like, okay, I can handle that a little bit better than the chicks sticking around and dogging me out and talking about, where's the rest of it at? Because you got to live there and see them. So they met some white dudes. Now they think they're doing something international. All they're doing is international tricking. That's all they're doing at best. And by the way, how much can you really afford to do with just $60,000? What are you really going to do in the Dominican Republic with $60,000 when you're still paying for your room and board back in America? How much money you got left over? While these fellas sit up here and fantasize about this, how much disposable income you got left over living in Phoenix, Arizona? He paid for a little old round trip ticket, if that much. Most likely he's just been sitting up here FaceTiming some chick down there, and she's got him and 7 other dudes in her phone. She got him and 7 other dudes in her phone. I went to go see my girl in the Dominican Republic. If that's your girl, why didn't you spend the whole 4 weeks with her? Well, I was here and I was there, and he's just jumped from one place to another. A bunch of cam girls, a bunch of chicks from OnlyFans, from Tinder. That's another thing. Tinder got a lot of those chicks on there. That's a big thing on Tinder for folks who don't know. They got cam girls and chicks paying and every damn thing else. They got all that. So don't let these fellas fool you. Caller from area code 770. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, hi. This is Shay, caller from Clarkston, Georgia.
Shay from Clarkston. What's on your mind?
Yes, I wanted to know, Jason, how can some of us women continue to support black men, continue to be, supportive and just letting them know, you guys are needed, appreciated, because not a lot of us is on that feminist kick, like we don't need y'all and, just damn y'all, we could do everything y'all can do, because I'm one of the women that know that, no, I'm not built like no man. I'm not trying to act like no man. So I just want to know, what can we do just to let, black men know that you guys are wanted, needed, and, we support you.
Okay. Well, the first thing, the most important thing is costs and benefits. As a female, you eventually learn not to value what a man says, you value what he does. At the end of the day, his talk isn't really what moves you. It's okay, I'm going to judge him by his actions. Well, guess what? It's the same for us. We're going to judge you by what you do. If you want a man to be competitive, when you say, okay, what does it take for us to let you know that you are loved and that we need you and this, that, and the other? It's like, okay, it's in what you do. A man wants to have his peace of mind. That's very good. A man also wants to feel like his woman matches his life. Now, if you got an average guy who's struggling, then you yourself can be struggle built. But if you want a man who's not struggling, if you want a man who is competitive, then you got to be competitive too. In the way you look, in the way you talk, in the way you comport yourself. Like I say, it's going to depend on the guy. So how do you make him feel needed? Well, water meets its own level. But if I could tell you something else here, by the way, do you have a job?
Who, me? Oh, yes. Yes, I'm a nurse.
How long have you been working at your particular place?
I'm new to the hospital setting, so I've just been at this new location for going on a couple of months.
How long have you been a nurse?
Since 2016.
Okay. Are you a RN or a LPN?
LPN.
Okay. How long did you work for your previous employer?
Almost 5 years. It would have been 5 years this September coming up.
Okay. So, in other words, you did a good job there.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. I want you to bring that attitude that you give them white folks at your job that allowed you to stay employed by them for half a decade. You were able to keep them happy with you for half a decade. Bring that exact same energy to your man.
Okay.
So, in other words, whatever you were doing for the last half a decade to keep them white folks happy with you, to keep them from replacing you, well, that's the energy you bring to a man, and that'll keep him from wanting to replace you. It works for everybody the same. The only issue is females will work a lot easier to accommodate a job than they will their man. And then when the job doesn't carry them, then it's like, oh, hell. Because, by the way, One last thing. How old are we?
45.
Okay. So like I say, definitely that energy matters. That energy matters more than anything. So you wasn't too proud to do it for these white folk. Do it for him. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 347. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Ruben from Yonkers.
Ruben from Yonkers. And what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is, I like this topic, Jason. I like what you're talking about. What I'm seeing.
Okay, thank you for giving us a call. Caller from area code 240. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, Jason.
Okay, folks are slow on the pipe tonight. I need you all to put that down to be answering your phones. What is your name? Where you calling from?
So check it out. D from Waldorf, Maryland.
Okay,
I wanted
B
to say
from Waldorf,
this
Maryland. What's on your mind?
You really laid out for us tonight what a complete ideology looks like, from men getting their stuff together to the point of now it's going to get real competitive for men out here. And the less women there are, the more competitive. If you get your stuff together, you be ready to rock and roll when it's time to rock and roll. Like that guy was talking about going to other countries. It's plenty of girls out here right now, that fit the bill for men, and you don't got to go overseas. Plenty of women out here. And
if you can't pull a Caribbean chick in New York, why would I believe you can pull one in the Caribbean?
Because they're more cutthroat over there. They trying to get here. I spent a month in El Salvador last year. I spent 20 days in El Salvador last November. Them women to do anything to get over here. They'll say anything, do anything.
Brother, dude, let me find out something.
If you think you can go over there and make it.
Let me find out something.
Yeah.
Now, you say you were in El Salvador for a month?
Yeah, I'll tell you how I did it.
Well, slow down.
Ready?
Slow down. Do you speak Spanish?
Yes, sir. No, I do not.
Okay, then how did you survive down there for a month and don't speak Spanish?
My daughter married an El Salvadorian guy. He wanted to take her back over there to visit his family. I wanted to go with him, so I went with them. We stayed at his family farm for the entire month. We went to all the cities, did all the touristy things, but we really got to know the people in his family. I went to meet his family, his grandparents, and all that kind of stuff over there.
All right. And
I got a job that allows me to, I got plenty of leave. I work for the federal government, so I got plenty of leave. So I use that.
Our tax dollars at work. Well, in any case, like I say, definitely, if they're not a fella trying to, like I say, dudes are getting old at this old cornball mess now. They're acting, we've been hearing about this damn go to South America, go to Central America. We've been hearing this garbage now for well over a decade. And then you go to every social media app there is. You go to any place online there is. OnlyFans, Twitch, you name it, is filled with chicks from all over the damn world, and all of them are talking exactly the same. There's no change anywhere. It's all the same.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And most definitely, when you think about it, he spent money to get his little flight together, stay at his little place. He could have did exactly what you told us. He could have got a room at a 5-star hotel in Miami, posted up for the weekend, and all them girls that be down there, he could have easily met one of them. But to make it even better, I knew you was right, because he don't have his stuff together like that. He can't do it like that.
No, not in those $60,000.
He probably was down there staying in a hostel.
Not in those $60,000 a damn year. These fellas sit up here and tell these tall
That's
ass
what I'm
tales.
saying.
First of all, I don't believe he was gone for a month. I don't believe any of that garbage. The math doesn't work out. It doesn't work out at all. What these fellas do is they'll meet some chick online if they're lucky, But I'm just saying, who in the world is going to take his ass down to the middle of Colombia for a month? I mean, dude, they're scoping you and everything. That's a damn treacherous ass situation. That's a treacherous situation. You down there to go meet a chick? No, you're asking for something bad to happen to you under those circumstances. So these fellas go off. They make all kinds of claims. I'm going down to the Dominican Republic. Okay, fine. Now that one maybe he could do because some folks do that, but like I say, it's not on nothing balling because if it was so great, he would have stayed for the whole damn month. He didn't. It was so great, he only stayed for a week or two, and then he was out looking somewhere else. That's how great his chick in the Dominican Republic is. That's how great she is, allegedly. Allegedly. I'll let you have the last word.
Exactly. But I just want to thank you, Jason, for all the game you be giving us. And if guys just listen to what Jason is saying, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Each and every episode, each and every program connects to the other program, just like this one, just like the last one, just like the 10, 20, 30 before it. Thank you, Jason. Have a good night.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Look here, y'all. Let me tell you something. Okay, let me go ahead and put you up on game. When these fellas sit up here and say this cornball mess, if you're looking for chicks from the Caribbean, New York and Florida, those are your spots right there. If you're looking for Mexican chicks, Texas and California, Texas, Arizona, and California, that's your spot. El Paso, Texas. They're running around all over the damn place in El Paso, Texas, all out there by the airport, all up and down 10. So that anybody, if you ain't been through that area, if you haven't been through Texas and those areas there for a while, by the way, El Paso, you'll be running over Mexican chicks all damn evening down there. At every single hotel, they come into the place walking in the front door speaking foreign languages. They come in the front door speaking Spanish. They come in the front door speaking Spanish. If you really just want to be about that. That's silly as hell. Miami, like I say, ain't no need to talk about it. You already know, but I'm not even going to be as fancy as Miami. I won't even be as fancy as Miami. You can move on up into Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood. You can move on up in that area if you don't want to go all the way down there. Daytona Beach. So it doesn't make any sense for somebody to sit up there and talk like that. It really, really doesn't. If they're going overseas, it's because there's something they want to do that they don't want people over here seeing. But it's not because it makes sense. It's not because it makes sense. Certainly not financial sense. Caller from area code 443. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, calling from Maryland. What's up, Jason?
Okay, what is your name?
Andre. You spoke to me last summer, man. I called up your show because I wanted you and Kevin to get together. You know what I'm saying? You was banging on me on that situation. You know what I mean? But anyway, brother, man, I got the ultimate respect for you. As a older brother, you're not an elder yet, but as an older brother, you know what I mean? Man, it's so much work you got to do because you are kicking facts, but, you know, you're going to have to do, I don't know how many shows you could do, man, because some of the information that you've given are facts, and then, you know, some of these sisters, man, they not really trying to mess with us, brother. No matter how much you're trying to kick it to us solidly, brother, and talking about us getting our money together and getting this together and getting that together, man, and they programmed to not even really trying to deal with us. The court system, the upbringing, I mean, that's the social skills among us. When they even walk by us, brother, you know, when they even walk by us, I mean, it's just so much work, and I don't know how you going to tackle it and convince us, like, yo, not explore the world. Because, you know, we the first
here's the real issue here, okay? Men have to have leverage before they even think to open their mouths to complain about female behavior. It's really that simple. If you have no leverage, you have no complaint, because it's self-explaining. Now, if a fella's got his act together, then he can lodge complaints. Here's the issue. A man with his act together is the same as a chick who's a 10. He's got complaints, but he doesn't have the complaints of the general male population. Females who are 10s, they got complaints too. They just don't have the same complaints that the general population does. So before a man can complain, he's got to have his act all the way together. Otherwise, he doesn't really actually understand what it is he's complaining about. Because everybody else, particularly females, can see his deficiencies. Everyone can see it except him. And even if he can see it, he's obviously not motivated enough to make it a priority to resolve it. That's the problem. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. By the way, thank you to everybody here who's supported tonight's program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. There's Jay Freeman. I see you out there. And Vincent Yarbrough. Thank you very much for rolling through and dropping that for us here. We appreciate that. Big Red. Glad to hear you enjoying tonight's program here. That's the kind of thing we like to see. Let me get caller from area code 412. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. My name is Robert. I'm calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Robert from Pittsburgh. What's on your mind?
Okay, well, right now, I would like to donate, but is the only option we have to donate to your program, which you're giving so much information. You deserve every penny that anybody can give you. Give your platform. Is there a way that you can do it besides going online and doing it? Is it possible we can send money order or something like that?
Okay, well, I don't know what to tell all the unbanked people out there. I don't know what y'all are doing, but it literally takes 2 minutes to set up a Cash App. So if you have a bank account, there's really no reason it won't work for you. So if
okay, then I'll do that. Then yeah. I'll take it because you deserve that. Because I, as a rule, I wasn't liking to put my information on the internet or anything like that. But
man, your influence. Okay, let me say one thing to Robert and anybody else who has that psychology behind it. And I understand that, but let me just ask you one question, Robert. Tell me.
Sure.
Just tell me one, not 5, not 10. Give me one piece of information about your finances that whoever you're worried about finding out would not be able to get to it, that you could prevent them from getting. Tell me one.
I would. No, I'm gonna just use my bank account.
Right, and I want y'all to understand. So, like I say, I can understand you not liking things and stuff, and you want to be cautious and things. I understand that, but the truth of the matter is, brother, there's not one part about your life, particularly your finances, dude. There's not one piece of information you could actually hide if somebody wanted to put the money together and resources to get it. And it wouldn't even take a whole lot. So for everybody out there who's concerned about that, set up a secondary bank account if you're really that concerned about it. You can go to your bank and set up a secondary bank account, and you can go ahead and roll like that if you're concerned about that kind of thing. But if it's just a situation of, well, I just don't want my stuff online, Robert, your stuff is already online. There are websites you can pay. Somebody could pay for a website to get all that information. So I'm just letting you, I'm explaining it to you, but just to everybody else out there who might be, a little bit self-conscious about it, just understand it's already out there. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight, Robert. We appreciate that. Like I say, just, be cautious on a daily basis here. Don't be silly, but at the same time, just understand, man, even for myself, please, I get pulled out of line every time I go to the airport. I haven't been to an airport in a while, but I get pulled out of line every time I go. So it doesn't matter what the internet shows or whatever, man. If these people want to know, they can find out. If them people want to know, they can find out very easily. I'm telling you that. And you know what? I ain't worried about it either. Because just like they can come look for me, I can look for you too. So be careful. When you stare into the abyss might stare back. Caller from area code 630. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. I'm calling you in the middle of my workout outside in the hill workout. So hopefully the wind isn't loud. I'll just make this one statement. You had the broadcast last week where you were saying it's the era of black men. I wanted to bring that point up today because the people that had to work the hardest to get to these spots, if we have even a percentile, an order of magnitude, less resistance as we're fighting right now against white supremacy, let up against us, the floodgates are open because we're so creative, from the arts to the sciences to everything else of what we built and invented, that as soon as that percentage is there, it's not only going to be men that are in control, but black men that are in control.
I agree. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 916. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mbari, calling from East Palo Alto. Called about a week ago, but I'm on topic today. I want to agree with you 100% from someone who has dated overseas. A lot of you guys don't have enough money to do it. If you get your feelings involved, you got to look at immigration. It ain't easy. Immigration is expensive, time-consuming, and then you have a lot of people who, like you said, are very socially awkward, and they're using your message and other variations of your message by other people to just sit back, bash women because they don't have enough, whatever you want to call it, game, self-awareness to get one. They'll get the one they want. So then we start going overseas, trying to do that. This is all global. The females over there is like the females over here. They might not act like it, but you got to ask them, why aren't you dating a man in your area? And they'll tell you, oh, I don't date Australian men, Colombian men. Yeah, no. You think we got money? You look like it's an easy way out. You get a part-time boyfriend because you don't live over there. So she's going to do what she's doing when you're gone. And when you get over there, or when you get her over here for a visit, because most of you guys can't afford to have her move over here and become to live with you through immigration, you're going to find out that their attitude is exactly the same. So the best thing you can do as a man is step your own game up, get your own money up, get your resources up, have a mission in life, because women respect men with a mission and resources. You got a lot of lanes with money from whatever reason, but no general mission. When they see you got a mission, that you put your mission first, and then you go into everything else, you don't have to worry about complaining.
Here's the real thing.
Trying to be
what is a fella making 60,000? Even if I believed he makes 60,000, which I don't. But even let's just give him the benefit of all the doubts. What is a fella making $60,000 a year gonna do for a chick in the Dominican Republic other than help her get her citizenship here? What's he gonna do? He ain't gonna build a house. He ain't gonna build a life. What the hell is he gonna do for her making $60,000 a year?
He's not going to do much. And take it from someone who dated someone in Australia. I built a whole beauty salon, beauty shop, beauty supply store in Australia, as well as I did one in America before. And I don't do hair. And at the end of the day, it's the same. It's the same thing. You know, the appreciation. How can someone appreciate you when you're not in their face all the time? When you see them once a year, twice a year. You're a vacation guy. But you got a lot of these guys convince themselves that, oh, I'm, doing so much because I can go over here and get a woman. Yeah, you can go over there and have sex. But try to marry that woman and see how hard it is. Then if you only make $60,000 a year, you can't afford immigration. Immigration lawyers cost $10,000. You can't afford immigration.
I mean, well, even so if you gave him a lawyer pro bono, my real thing is $60,000 a year. what type of life is he going to be able to build? Now, if she's a strong 5, then I guess a fella making $60,000 a year is competitive. However, if she's a chick who can actually pull some masculine, on-point male attention, then he's really just going to be just roadkill. That's all he's going to be.
Basically. And at the end of the day, if you can't do it here, don't think you can go over there and make it that much better. If you don't have enough self-confidence to go, and I don't care if you say X amount of the women are bad. What about the ones that aren't? Can you get one of them? If you can't get one of those, then you're buying something. You're buying something over there. They're not just messing with you just because they love it. They might like your personality, think you're cool, but let that go on for a few years, and you only seeing her 2, 3, 4 times a year. It's not going to work. You don't have the money for it, and a lot of these guys, because as far as, KS, I'm just going to say KS, he got groups on Facebook. I joined the group just to see how the guys are talking. They're in there trying to complain them women into acting right. When you look at them, they socially awkward, don't have no money, don't have what it takes to like I told them, if you have your stuff together, women get in line. I took your advice. I'm in the truck business, one of my businesses. I don't have no problem with a woman. At the end of the day, they see what I'm doing. They know how I move. They know I got a media company. They know the things I own, and they know I'm pro-black. They know where I stand, and they line up. They call every day, different ones. And I'm not thirsty. I'm not in a rush because my mission comes first. So at the end of the day, when you put your mission first, you don't have to worry about a woman. They're going to worry about you.
I've been telling these fellas for the longest, and like I say, it's just corny at this point. You can't complain or whine your way. Women don't care about a man's complaining and whining. A fella complaining and whining has the same effect on a woman as a woman nagging a man does. At best, they're ignoring it, and at worst, they're already plotting how to get rid of you. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get a caller from country code 528. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Lo calling from Mexico.
Lo calling from Mexico. Well, you got a lot of experience overseas. Well, I shouldn't say overseas, outside the country. And what's on your mind?
Oh, man, I just want to say the people who think going out of the country, first of all, they're already weak-minded. Second of all, they're going to be sadly mistaken, because when I tell you these women are exactly the same, it's ridiculous. From the obesity to the diabetes to the bad attitudes to everything, it's the same. You're not going to get away from it. You had a caller a week or two ago who was from Africa, I believe, and or originally something like that. And he had a girl in Africa. He was paying her, and he only saw her like 2 times a year. And that's the type of boyfriends or husbands that these overseas women are looking for, because they know you're going to be in the U.S. and if you're going to be in the U.S. working, sending them money while they're getting ran through the town. Well,
I mean, they're sitting up here juggling dudes. Let's just keep it what it is. These chicks have no problem with you saying that, because she's like, okay, you as long as you're gone, she's juggling. First of all, you're not the only guy she's talking to coming in the gate. And second of all, she's already talking to 3 or 4 other people. So it's like, okay, let's schedule you. And then when your schedule is done, okay, we can schedule the next one. Or if something comes up, she'll put him off or whatever the case may be. And that's what they do. And this is international. This is everywhere. This is the hustle now. Anybody who has been on Twitch can see all these chicks from overseas. Twitch has more cam girls than any damn thing else. Anybody who's been on Twitch can see, damn, they all talking about college age girls. We're not talking about chicks in their late 20s even. We're talking about college age, 18, 19, 20 years old, the prime real estate. They're the ones sitting up here saying, oh, this is the hustle. This is the way it goes. This is what we do.
Definitely. And lastly, I'm always suspect of dudes who glorify going overseas, because from my experience being in the hospitals, being in the rural areas of Mexico, also while being in the cities, they go to the rural areas, and what I see from my experience is they're either in the closet or they're looking for very, very beyond young women. And I whenever somebody tells me, "Oh yeah, I'm going overseas," I'm like, it just pops in my head like, what are you really looking for? Because there's nothing out here that's different besides the laws that protect you more for having your sexual deviancy, you know?
I mean, look, dude, everybody knows the deal. When you go down to Mexico, I mean, nigga, it can happen anywhere from the time you cross that border. It can happen to you anywhere. Everybody knows in Mexico, it's only a few places you can go. If you go to the airport, for example, even if you fly in, there's only certain routes you can take to get where you're going. You make one wrong turn. Hell, sometimes you don't even have to do that. You can get it at any time. If you go to Jamaica, you really can only go from the airport straight to the damn resort. Unless you got people who live there, you better not go off talking about sightseeing. Unless you got people who live there, you better not go off talking about sightseeing. And everybody who's been to Jamaica knows the damn deal. They know full damn well. You can see the thugs from the freeway. It's like, oh, you can get it. Get off that exit ramp if you want to. You can get it. You can get it right here. So when fellas sit up here and talk crazy about places like Colombia, Jamaica, Mexico, talking like the rest of us have never seen these places or been to these places and whatnot, and don't know what's going on, that's insulting to our intelligence. They're talking, that shows you that you're dealing with a male mind that has failed to mature. He's still talking from not even a teenage perspective, but an adolescent perspective. He's talking to us like we're a bunch of 13-year-olds who haven't been anywhere or seen anything. And he's going to tell us what it is. We're not a bunch of 13. He's operating on the 13-year-old level, but we're not. And the other thing is, once again, even taking all that into account, what the hell are you going to do with $60,000? What are you going to do with that exactly?
I'll tell you here, over here in Mexico, you might be able to get a decent house. It's not that, like, I mean, American money is better, obviously, but come on, like, you ain't finna retire off of $100,000 out here. It's not gonna happen.
It's not like you balling out. It's not like that's happening at all. Because if you are, you better be watching your rear view. If you are, by the way, you better be watching it. But yeah, bro, like I say, there's a lot of folks out here selling fantasies to people that they think don't know any better. And that's what it comes down to. So that's why I'm saying I did tonight's program here. For those of you who are just joining us here later, I did tonight's program because I'm talking about the fact that the male population globally has already surpassed the female population. But even if you think that that's because of selective abortion in China and whatnot, you better think again, because I've been following this for a while. There are actually more males born in America than there are females born. And the only reason the female population is bigger than the male population is because males typically die sooner. But the reason for that has been because for the last 10,000, 20,000 years, we have put our safety and well-being ahead. We put the female safety and well-being ahead of our own. And now if the male population in such a gynocentric, hostile environment, if the males are no longer willing to do what they've been doing for the last 20,000 years, then it's going to be a hell of a wake-up call. So you got fellas out here resorting to coping mechanisms and everything else. Bottom line, if you can't get it popping in America, I'd be a fool to think you're going to get it popping somewhere else. You're just coming back here telling us pipe dreams and blowing smoke that you think we're going to believe, and we're not. I'll let you have the last word.
I mean, you just killed it right there. If you can't do it in America, you definitely can't do it in another country, especially another country that speaks a foreign language. Like, nobody, if you don't speak fluent, they don't even respect you like that. Like, it's not the same. Like, nah.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. Let me get caller from area code 909. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Talia from Los Angeles.
Talia from Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
I just had to call in. Good evening, Jason. I really appreciated what you said earlier to the other caller about having leverage. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. Obviously, there's issues on both sides, but I have a lot of experiences with men approaching me interested in a relationship once they find out the things that I'm able to do, but not really able to, or coming with, oh, you can do all of these things for me without really offering anything in return. And I think it's something that happens with the exuberance of finding someone who's actually interested in you as a person and willing to engage with you respectfully. But I think that it's important to keep in mind with all these men who are trying to level up to understand that finding a good woman is only part of it. You still need to have your stuff together, or at least be willing to work on it.
Well, I mean, there's levels and dimensions to it. When I hear guys complaining, they have to understand, even though I am a man, if I hear you talking real soft and real meek, I'm like, well, dude, there's only a certain type of female you're going to qualify for. Because, like, for example, you're from Los Angeles, okay? Los Angeles is probably the most competitive dating environment in America. Is probably the most competitive for its own set of reasons, but primarily because we put a LA 10 in its own category. There's a reason that we do that. There's a reason why Los Angeles, when we say a 10 in Los Angeles, that's in a separate category. So that's the place that invented the idea that, yeah, if a chick looks a certain way, it's dudes stacked up who can buy her Aston Martins and Porsches or whatever. And what I'm saying is that as a male, okay, having your money straight is great, but those women are looking, and I've been in Los Angeles many a time, so I know the get down. The females are looking for the total package, because they're like, okay, if I got to take myself off, if the female qualifies, of course, if she qualifies, and even for a lot of them who don't, by the way, but they're looking for the total package. They're looking for the total package. They're looking for the fella who has the attitude, who has the confidence. All these mama's boys raised by all these single mothers have been the worst plague ever because they don't raise confident boys into confident men. They don't, because they can't. So the females are out here complaining, but the bottom line is they don't have these are not confident men, so they don't really have anything they want to deal with in that regard. And that's what they're attracted to. They're attracted to a confident man. They're attracted to a man who knows who can exude confidence, not just has confidence, but exudes it. Well, Jason, how do you exude it? How do you open your mouth? Do you talk with a baritone? Are you stumbling and bumbling over your words? Are you trying to figure out what to say? Or do you walk up and you get straight to the business? Because that's one thing you have to say about some of these guys like talk about street dudes and, dope dealers or whatever. When they walk up, they get straight to the point. They're not guessing what to say. They're not wondering what to say. They might not be as articulate as some of these fellas tell themselves they are. But the bottom line is he's approaching her a certain way. Meanwhile, you can sit up here and be looking as in your mind as intelligent or as nerdy as you'd like to be and say, well, you should get points for that. And the bottom line is, it's not appealing. Lack of confidence is not appealing. And to a female, she knows that her safety, fellas, listen to me, a female knows her safety and well-being is dependent on you. So if she's got a choice between a guy who actually can defend her safety versus a very intelligent fella who has a good job who cannot, she's got to start weighing things. So when you're in a competitive environment, understand what it is that makes you competitive. A lot of these guys who are accused of having bravado and being arrogant or being conceited or being whatever, okay, that can come across as unappealing to a lot of guys, but to the females, that's another component that she weighs. Okay, well, his confidence is on point, and if his lifestyle shows that his confidence has produced, she's doing math on that and saying, okay, this is all adding up. That's what it means to be competitive.
That's true. And I think it speaks to something that you've said before. It seems like, well, first off, the woman has to qualify, like you said. There's a lot of women out here who look amazing, but, are disciplinary issues or have attitude issues or just have closeted issues with Black men in general. And I think that those type of women are attracted to men who were raised by single mothers who may be less authoritative because they're able to take the position of the alpha in the relationship. And I think that when dealing with a competitive male, like you said, these drug dealers and these folks on the street, they have the confidence because they know they need to make things happen. That contributes more to a woman being willing to be in a situation with someone who has multiple women, just because, like you said, that safety factor and feeling like this person can protect you.
Well,
and it
goes a little bit further than that, because remember, there is always the assumption that how you do one thing is how you do all things. So when a man looks at a woman and she is put together a certain way, she's looking classy, you know, she doesn't look like Black China. She's not it's not about, okay, your breast popping out. It's like, is she dressed a certain way? Is she classy? How does she walk in her heels? How does she carry herself before she even opens her mouth? Well, we're assuming how you do, look at what she drives. We're assuming how you do one thing is how you do all things. Well, guess what, fellas? It works the same way with females. When she takes a look at you, she assumes when you start talking, how you present yourself, she's assuming how you do one thing is how you do all things. And if you sound meek, if you sound recessive, if you sound shy, if you sound like you're uncertain, if you sound like you are not assertive, she's going to assume, well, this is how you do everything. And it doesn't even matter what you're driving at that point. She's going to be like, okay, well, his money is together and that's it. So maybe if I get him and a dude on the side, maybe I'll put them two together and have a whole man. Just understand how that works. Understand how it works.
Yes.
I'll let you have the last word.
Thank you. A lot of people definitely try to piece together a build-a-man situation. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to we all need to reevaluate what exactly the purpose is of even dating. Like, the purpose of a partnership should be to build a strong foundation for the future. And everyone focused on their role in that. But all of that is thrown out the window out here in these LA streets. And that's not really the goal, and that's not really the intention. So you see these problems that ensue from there.
Well, I mean, it doesn't help if they don't have an agenda. As a man, carrying on your legacy is the only reason to talk to a woman. That's the only reason you should be doing it. And if you don't actually have anything, you haven't built anything, you yourself are not of any value that there's anything to preserve about you, then yeah, legacy is out of the window and you just inherit a life of sexual frustration. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. The other issue here is when you're dealing with a place like Los Angeles, New York, Miami, these are places swimming in money. They're swimming in international money. They're swimming in men coming from internationally. Just like you got these fellas over here going off and tricking overseas, you got dudes with real paper coming over here from Asia, London, the Middle East, South America, Canada, Russia. They're coming over here with real paper. Anybody who's been out there in Miami, all the way out there, all the way out on Ocean Boulevard, Biscayne Bay, you know the deal. You see boats and yachts all over the damn place. $1 million yachts all over the place. And what I'm saying is it does us no good to have a male majority if it's not a competent, competitive male majority. It will do you no good. Because these women are exposed all over the place to competitive men. And even if she technically does not qualify, she's dreaming about it. Even if she technically doesn't qualify. Caller from area code 980. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mr. Black. This is Joel in Charlotte.
Okay, take your phone off a speaker or earbuds, whatever you're using.
Okay, forgive me. I'm at work. Hey, how you doing?
Okay, what is your name? Where are you calling from?
Joel in Charlotte.
All right, Joe in Charlotte.
North
Where?
Carolina.
In Charlotte, North Carolina. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. So, back to the topic of the show. I've been talking to people, too, telling them how things aren't going to work out the way they think they are. And I'm glad you went over the numbers, because one of the things I don't really hear people talk about also is how the incompetency in the workforce, which you talked about, how women don't like to work and the incapable men as well, and how it's a detriment to the workforce as well as the quality of care. So how that will compound this loss of life in the later years. Because I used to work, I'm a trucker now, so I'm actually on a load right now, getting unloaded. But I used to work in a retirement home for about 5 years. And those women that were the nurses, of course, majority of nurses are women, the care, the quality of care at some of these lower end facilities, it is abysmal. It is terrible. And of course, there's loss of life in that situation, as well as some of the doctors that are incompetent, some of the workforce where, you know, you might have to go in for something that's supposed to be routine, and then you end up passing away because your surgeon or something's incompetent. And in addition to that, I do have a question. So, and the question to you is, where do you see the bottleneck in the workforce? Because we know that when people, there's going to be the haves and the have-nots. The haves are doing what they're doing today, which is they're separating themselves from the have-nots, right? You know, entire cities, and soon enough, an entire country is going to be, you know, you're going to have like $200,000 a year just to live there, right? So where do you see how they're going to make that bottleneck happen if too many of these people either catch on to what's going on and then they try to shift to get more skilled positions and jobs, or and also the workforce that they're leveraging in the capitalistic society? You know, you have to leverage other people's labor, so they have this workforce. How are they going to keep that bottleneck going to leverage their labor?
Well, the way that they're doing it here now. I'll get to that question here in just a moment. You brought up a couple of things here that I think are worth mentioning. I was watching a news story that was talking about the housing market in Florida. And it was a realtor in Florida, and she was speaking about the fact that there's such little, you know, the rents versus buying a house, everything is so expensive now that a lot of these people, if they find themselves in a situation where they're having to look for a new place to live, a lot of these folks on their retirement income. It was about retirement income and being able to retire in Florida. And not even talking about Miami now. I mean, we're talking about, you know, St. Lucie and Fort Myers, areas that used to be considered safe a decade ago. Because everybody was dealing with, you know, Eastern Florida and that Miami and all the way up the Atlantic coast. The Gulf was considered to be safe in a lot of regards. Now they lighten up the Gulf like there's no damn tomorrow. And the Gulf has very quickly caught up to everything else. So what's happening here is she was saying that something that I said over a decade ago, something that I said ever since I made my documentary Gentrified, when she said that you have people now who, for their retirement income, they simply cannot make it work in Florida, so that if they wind up having to move, or if they get evicted, they're essentially being evicted from the state. Not the city of Fort Myers, not the city of Punta Gorda, not the city of Orlando, not the city of Jacksonville. They're essentially going to be evicted from the state. They will have no way to even be able to afford to stay in the state. You're seeing an exodus of people from California, but good luck to a lot of them. There's a reason why homelessness is exploding the way it is. Yeah, you can't afford the housing, and it's one of the things that really upsets me, because it's unfair. It's grossly, outrageously unfair to these young people today. I know I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, everybody, but it's very unfair because these young people today, they shouldn't have to sit there living in their damn cars. All up in California and stuff, in Connecticut. You've got young people can't even afford an apartment. They're having to leave home and live in their damn cars. And this is becoming a normal damn thing. This is becoming a normal damn thing now. Of young people having to live in their damn cars. We used to consider that to be a crisis if that happened. Now it's the freaking norm. California, in Silicon Valley, Texas, Florida, all up in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. I was watching a news story the other day talking about a place up there. I can't remember the exact name of it. It's probably in my memory of my videos somewhere, but can't remember the exact name of it. But it's a place up there in the north, and it was a small town, but now, you know, it's starting to blow up. They got some things going on there, and it's starting to blow up. And they want to change the rental laws. They want to change the rental laws in that area. And some folks, the folks who own property, are like, they don't want to do that. And the folks who are not there, like, okay, we don't have enough housing as is. It's a big ass mess. It's a big ass mess. And I mean everywhere. It's a mess everywhere. You ain't gonna make it in let me just tell you right now, if you talking about living in Los Angeles, California, and what most of the rest of the country considers to be an upper middle class lifestyle, you got to be hitting 200 G's and higher. And I'm not even talking about with kids. If you want to live in Los Angeles and live in a neighborhood where a Mercedes belongs, you got to be hitting 200 G's and over. And I'm talking about before you have kids. I know. I've been there. Somebody here was talking about Melrose. Dude, we ain't even got to get down to Melrose, to be totally honest with you. Don't even really have to go to Melrose. Don't even have to go that far now. Now, as far as what you were talking about, bottleneck, dude, they're throwing every damn body overboard. They're throwing every damn body overboard. Now, right now, you have a job market that's never been more favorable in a lot of regards. But as far as having that inventory of people to work for them and whatnot, it's already in place. It's already in place. Look, there's the bottom line is how much does it cost to pay a person and how much does it cost to replace them with a machine? And that's the only thing they really weigh. Or illegal, or the illegals, which, as you've seen, they got President Biden. They paid him off so damn well that he's basically opened the damn borders. They were like, look, we run this damn thing. You ain't enforcing no immigration policy. You all are witnessing this happening right in front of your eyes. A sitting United States president is refusing to enforce border policy at all, even though the courts have told him that he's supposed to. There have been lawsuits and the courts have told him that he needs to enforce the border policy. He is literally bowing to the will of the corporations, farmers, and whatever, who these corporate farmers were like, yeah, we're not enforcing any borders. Nope. We want cheap labor. So, brother, when you talk about that bottleneck, the bottleneck is not the American population. It's a global bottleneck. It's a global valve that they're controlling. Not a local one. Not one confined to North America. It's global. That's your competition now. That's the environment you're in. So you need to make your calculations based against that. I did what I did and I do what I do here on The Business because I'm trying to warn you all. I am trying to warn you of the environment that you're actually in. I'm in my mid-40s today, but a lot of you listening to me, you are in your early 30s or, God forbid, your 20s. You are the dollar's value hasn't really dropped that much in the last decade, but inflation isn't a increase in the money supply. Inflation simply means rising prices. And what has happened to young people in just the last 24 months has been outrageously devastating. This might as well have been a damn world war for the devastating effect it's going to have on them. And then we're telling them that they need to hit the ground running and just overachieve. And unfortunately, yeah, you're going to have to. As unfair as that is, unfortunately, yeah, you're going to have to. You're going to have to. In the chat room, talking about folk in London under 30 have to move out, can't move out of their parents. Man, we already have a generation of folk doing that now here in America. The millennials are the failure. They call it failure to launch. No, they can't afford to leave. When you have watched the price of housing go up by $50,000 a year for the last 3 years, you've watched the price of housing increase about $50,000 a year for the last 3 years, median home prices. Think about that for a few moments. That's way beyond the rate of inflation. That's way beyond it. So if you are a fella today and you sitting up here talking about, I'm going to go get me a job at the plant, man, look here. Let me tell you something. I've been all over. Let me tell you something, fellas. You can think whatever the hell you want to. All I'm going to sit up here and tell you is that the thongs is snapping down there in Miami. They snapping in L.A. And what I'm telling you is that the females are acutely aware of what the struggle is. Even if they play a major part in creating it, the bottom line is they're acutely aware what the struggle is, what it requires to be competitive. You are going to have to accept the reality. Well, Jason, what reality? That you have grossly underestimated what it requires. You're looking at your parents and saying, well, if I can do that, that's not going to be good enough anymore. I would like to take this as an opportunity to add an addendum to something. I want to correct something here. I shouldn't say correct. I want to add to something here. I've been telling you all for years about a documentary from PBS Frontline called The Retirement Gamble. Great documentary by Martin Smith. But there's another one by Kendrick Smith. And this is another one that is must watch. I'm usually thinking of this one, but I don't usually say what it is. I was watching it earlier today. Can you afford to retire? Everyone in the sound of my voice, you can go to Google and look up PBS Frontline, Can You Afford to Retire? And you can watch it from their website. It is must-see obligatory viewing. Must-see viewing. Even though it was made in 2006, it is must-see viewing because it is still up to date today. Amazingly enough, that tells you how bad the situation has gotten. It's up to date today. In 2006, it was already killing them. Here you come along in 2022. This is not a game or a joke. And it ended with the woman saying, everybody here who wants to retire now, especially the baby boomers, but to hell with them. But she said, the only way that you will be able to retire and preserve your lifestyle is by continuing to work. That's where we're at now. See, it doesn't matter what you've done before you got here. In San Diego, the median, I believe I was watching a story that said the median home price of a home in San Diego today, the median home price, median in San Diego today is $1 million. The median home price is $1 million. These are conversations that your parents simply cannot fathom. They can't fathom that. $1 million is the median price? So what does that mean? Everybody's running off to trying to find, is there a hood in San Diego they can be in? And understand, it's coming to a neighborhood near you. Look, I've got very little control of this. Public policy should be what it was after World War II, that the government steps in and builds a bunch of housing. That would be the only thing that would relieve this, because the private sector has a vested interest in keeping housing prices as sky high as they can. They're making tons of money. They don't give a damn that it's devastating your generation. They don't give a damn that's devastating you all. They have wrecked the world so many damn times, it's not even funny anymore. 1929. 1987, 1999, 2007, 2020. And if trends continue, 2023, 2024, somewhere around there. So no, brother, they control, it's not a bottleneck, it's a valve. And they control the valve. And they have no scruples and no morals about what they do with it. So one way or another, they're going to figure out a way to be able to fleece this damn thing. One way or another. Don't be under any illusions about what that will be. They've got a game that's rigged, and I want everybody to have it rigged in their favor, but it's not going to be rigged in your favor if you are not able to understand what you really have to do. You can't. What used to be acceptable is the average, man. That's not acceptable anymore. I'm telling that so-called average guys, dudes, I don't know what the hell you all are thinking. It's not acceptable anymore. It's not. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, in this economic musical cheers that's going on, I definitely plan on taking my seat before the music stops. And I hope you guys plan on it too. And if you guys are familiar with Wall-E and how that world turned out, where they left Earth in trash and then all the haves left the planet, just remember what I think it was Elon Musk and what he said he was trying to do, die on Mars or something like that.
Wall-E,
Wall-E
Elysium. And let me be very, very clear to you all.
Mm-hmm.
I want you all to understand something. When you hear about people like Elon Musk and whatnot in Mars, it's very unlikely that that's going to happen for a number of different reasons. Very, very unlikely that's going to happen for a number of different reasons. However, there is something I want you to consider. And I really need to talk about this on my other program, but I want you all to consider this. What if Mars is not a physical place? I know this is going to sound real weird coming from Jason Black, but have you all considered that when Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos talk about Mars, have you all considered that Mars may not be a physical destination, not the way you all think about it? What if Mars is a metaphor? So folks like, Jason, what the hell are you talking about? What if Mars is like the new world? Nirvana. Please remember, the reason the United States is so successful is because the Europeans had already taken over that small landmass of Europe, and what they were looking for was a new place where there was not an established government, a new place that had good soil that could be developed and invested in, but did not have an established government. Now, for those of you who are too young to remember, there was a project to make basically a floating nation. That was like 20 years ago. Ran out of money. But somebody like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have the money to do something like that. I'm not talking about the Matrix. I'm talking about it is a place in the... What I'm saying is, what if the idea is they're speaking about Mars, but Mars is a metaphor? Not that they don't have rockets, and not that Mars is not a physical place. But what if they mean the idea of Mars? Remember, when we talk about white folk, when a white person says they're white, do they mean the same thing as when you say you're black? No. When a white person says they're white, they mean I'm boss. And by the way, April 19th,
90 seconds.
May 19th, birthday of Malcolm X. Peace be upon him. But by the way, he was right. When a white person says I'm white, they mean I'm boss. What if Mars for Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos doesn't simply mean the next planet over? What if it means a mindset? That it is time for the haves to cut the have-nots all the damn way out. Because that's what you would be doing if you went to Mars. You're like, oh, we're leaving y'all there to your own devices. Think about that for a few moments. Because if they've got the money to go to Mars, they damn sure have the money to cut you off here. So what if, think of it, you're talking about a Mars spaceship, it would be more sinister if I told you, what if it was a Mars initiative? Mars initiative? Well, yes, that we're here to separate ourselves from these other people. I thought you were going to planet Mars. Well, yeah, eventually we'll do that too, but actually in reality there's a number of obstacles to going to the planet Mars. I mean, radiation, lack of an atmosphere. There's actually a lot of obstacles to make going to Mars physically very unfeasible. But all the money and investment that you would put into such a thing there, what if you used all that here? What if you use that effort to really dig your hooks in here?
Mr. Black, if I may, I do believe I recall Trump when he first got in office, and he was up there talking about a space force or something. And now you're talking about metaphors and how they're using space and Mars as metaphors. I kind of laughed it off as a joke, but I do recall that some years ago when he was talking about establishing this so-called space force or something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't know if that was metaphorical. Trump said a lot of things, but definitely where these other folks are concerned, yeah. Think about that for a few moments. What if Mars we're thinking of it as a physical place, and it is, and I'm not saying that they're not thinking about it physically. I'm not saying that. I'm saying think about it in its totality. What if he's accepted a Mars lifestyle, a Martian lifestyle? Think about that for a few moments. You have a guy born in South Africa. He moved to America, but he identifies as a white man from South Africa who identifies as a North American and aspires to be a Martian. I want you all to think about that for a few moments. This is a man from South Africa who identifies as a North American, but aspires to be a Martian. You think he gives a damn about what's going to happen to you? Like, man, I'm not an American. I'm a Martian. Think about that for a few moments. Even if he never left the planet, this man now currently aspires to be a Martian. Do you think he cares about the folk who work at the plant, the people who've been getting run over by his cars and his futile attempt for them to self-drive, which isn't going to occur? Do you think he cares about that? He's like, hell, y'all are humans. I'm a Martian. And I'm not even joking. Hey, I'm a Martian. I ain't about this Earth stuff. I'm a Martian. Think about that for a few moments when it comes to the global economic environment. Your citizens and a couple of the richest men in the world don't even really identify as human beings anymore. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos don't even really identify as humans anymore. They're like, yo, man, I'm well beyond that. Yeah, you thought it was bad when they just identified themselves as gods. You thought it was bad then. They're walking down here among you, and they're like, yeah, don't you see, oh, these people, they live in filth and trash. It's terrible. Isn't that awful? Yeah, look how these people do things. Yes, these are the earthlings. These are the earthlings. I never did like them. I'm a Martian. Caller from area code 224. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, Jason? This is Jay from Chicago.
Jay from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, man, I was just calling to touch in on, well, I was originally calling to touch in on the business on leveling up, you know, when it comes to females and dealing with females and just getting your business together and getting it in order, because it's real out here, like, and there's a lot of guys out here lost, you know what I'm saying? And only thing that should matter is getting your paper up, however way you do it. Just be serious about it, be dead locked in on it. I know a couple of guys be saying they be making money and you want to look at getting a female, but man, like, you're going to waste time trying to appease this woman. You trying to get your paper up, and then you waste time, and she don't even appreciate the man you with. and you could have been just getting your, leveling up. So I just wanted to touch in on that. But I was also going to agree with you with the whole Elon Musk and all of them, like Bill Gates, all of them, like they don't look at us like, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't see them walking around the street or at a coffee shop or, you know what I'm saying, something like that. They on a whole nother level. Like, and we should be focused on that, getting our money up, all that lovey-dovey shit. That come later, man. Get your paper up and fuck all that other shit.
Well, it sure does help when you have an agenda. When you have an agenda for yourself, when you have a mission for yourself, when you have a focus for yourself, everything else is a side effect of that. If you are a man who is focused and you are grounded in the world, then all these other things are a side effect. And you'll get that. But if you lack that first thing, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get called from area code 424. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
And it's Big Church calling from L.A. What's up, Jason?
Big Church from L.A. What's on your mind?
All right. I know, I know I'm probably going to get off topic here, but I actually been waiting to talk to you because I've been looking for some business advice. It's a startup I want to do a startup.
Okay.
And
are you a member of my Patreon?
No.
Okay.
Of your YouTube?
No, sir. I meant what I said. A member of my Patreon. If you are not, you need to look in the description of the video. You'll be able to see you'll be able to see the URL to that. You want to sign up for that and join us this weekend. Thank you very much for giving us a call here. Let me get caller from area code 646. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
John from Brooklyn. Just calling in one more time, Jason, clarify a couple of things.
Okay. John from Brooklyn, you already called in earlier. Give us a call back next week.
Yeah, it was about...
One call per program. Give us a call back here next week. I did tonight's program because on top of everything else, I want the fellas to recognize something. I know most of you were raised by not very bright, not very competent women. And you had no males around you, certainly not a male in a position of authority. You were raised usually by emotionally whacked out females. And as Marlon Brando said in The Godfather, women and children can afford to be reckless. Men can't. Well, if you were raised by a reckless female and all she was doing was running around doing little grimy, reckless things, you've kind of accepted and adopted the idea that you can be dumb and reckless too. And as a result, you have avoided and evaded competence. You're afraid to be competent. And because you've been afraid to be competent, you've given a pass to other people who are not competent, and yet they're in your circle, yet they're in your sphere. And the internet is a place where unreliable information spawns and generates at an outrageous rate. And individuals can get your attention and they will say one or two things that sound correct, and then they'll string you along with a bunch of other stuff that is just straight gibberish and babble. Which is why tonight's program, I focused on discussing with you all about the fact that, by the way, were you aware that the global population of females, with all this talk about, we're living in a gynocentric order and feminist order and misandrist order, with all this talk of that, by the way, were you aware that globally the female population is already below the male population? And that in North America, there are more boys born than girls. And that if the trend of the census over the last 50 years is any indication, we are going to have a majority male population in America. But is that majority male population ready for power? Is that majority male population ready for control? Is that majority male population ready to seize back the reins of control again and set this ship back to right? Or is the majority male population going to be sitting around looking for a female to lead them, looking for a female to tell them what to do? So that now you are no longer the numerical minority, you're the numerical majority, but you are the mental and emotional servant. What good is having superior numbers if you do not have a superior agenda to go along with it? If you still bring the same inferior agenda you were bringing before, what good do the numbers do you? I want you to be equally competent. And I will also say something else here. It's like, Jason, what are you concerned about? Is there anything here that you've seen that worries you? Well, not from the numbers here. That doesn't necessarily worry me. Because competent and competitive men are always going to win. Competent and competitive men are always going to win. And to be totally honest with you here, if you are an incompetent man, you shouldn't be allowed to procreate. The problem with the world today is that we have subsidized females for opening their legs to incompetent males. And the females will later complain about it and attempt to punish people. But the bottom line is you open your legs to incompetent males. Incompetent males should not be allowed or able to reproduce their incompetent selves. Their defective genes and their defective bloodline should end with them. They shouldn't have a next generation to move on to. If you are a deficient male, your bloodline should end with you. It should not go on further. It should stop there. It shouldn't be allowed to go any further. That is the biggest issue that we have. Incompetence should not be rewarded with survival. Incompetence should not be rewarded with further survival. Well, I was going to wrap things up here, but I actually think I see a familiar face on Zoom. Or am I wrong about that, Jacqueline?
I don't think you're wrong about that, Mr. Black.
I don't think I'm wrong either. Welcome back to the business, Jacqueline.
Hi, everyone, B1 fam. So these incompetent men, I just wanted to get clarification on what we mean by incompetent, because
show me you got some competence with your remote control. You got the TV going and everything else. So,
well, that's keeping everybody quiet.
Okay,
Let me go
look
in a
here.
different part of the
You know
house.
what else will keep them quiet? Carrying a pistol around the house. That'll keep them quiet too.
Oh, that's coming soon. Don't worry. But not for them. No, not for them. But
why not?
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
you can tell why he doesn't have kids. Probably
who doesn't have kids?
Me. Anyway, Jacqueline, you worry about the wrong damn thing. Okay. First of all, point your camera down, baby. You got the top of your head showing. Thank you.
Well, let me. All right.
Let
me just stand over here like I'm taking a picture at
the police station. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
All right. It's a mess. I'm sorry.
I know. We're going to send the Mary Mays people over there in a minute. Now, what's on your mind?
I already have someone coming tomorrow.
Okay.
Anyway, I wanted to know.
But go ahead.
All right. So I wanted to know what these incompetent men are like, what you mean by them being incompetent, because I had a little situation, and sorry, moved the TV. I haven't taken that down. But I wanted to know what incompetent looked like, because I had a situation where someone did something. Would you like me to share that story?
If you can give it to us in 20 seconds or less.
20 seconds. He ordered Popeye's chicken. He put the large drink, instead of keeping it in the cup holder, he put it in the bag of food. So then when he handed me the bag of food, all the whole lemonade was sloshing around the bag.
Okay. I think you told me about this.
Yes. And this is someone that is a potential, thinking I'm an 8.5 and I should be leaving the casino with, but I'm thinking, is this incompetent? Because why walk 2 blocks, decide not to use the cup holder, put it in the bag, and then hand me a bag of chicken? Luckily, the chicken was saved. But everything else, the sides and everything like that, the biscuits, forget biscuits, paws, was all wet.
Well, okay. Now, remind me again what city we're in.
Oh, this is New York.
Okay.
And this is an FBA man.
Okay. Which borough?
He's from Brooklyn.
Okay.
And I'm in New York City.
No, the whole thing's New York City. What she means is Manhattan.
Yeah.
Thank you. In any case, all right. Well, for anybody else, I would tell them, maybe think differently. In your case, Jackie, I'm going to say that is a non-issue. That is a non-issue, baby. You better be glad he showed up.
With a bag of chicken.
Ma'am, you better be glad he showed up with a chicken bone, much less a whole bag of it there. So he got your biscuits too. What are you complaining about?
He's a welder in the daytime and a cab driver at night.
Okay. And I suggest you do something to make him want to stick around, I suppose.
Okay. Well, he's waiting for me to contact him back, so that's good.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I suggest you take your chips and run.
Well, maybe one or two of you will be invited to the wedding. I'm not sure.
Ma'am, wedding or not, if this nigga is willing to buy you chicken on a weekly basis, I suggest you take it.
No, and that's pretty good. I mean, he said, "Did you want me to stop and buy anything?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm hungry, and shoot, the kids are too, right? So get a 14-piece. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 of us.
Wait.
It'll be enough for tomorrow."
Slow down.
14-piece, 2 large.
Wait a second.
Okay. Yes.
You said he bought food for you and them kids.
And them kids.
Are those his children?
Nope.
How many kids is it?
2.
That's still too many. But in any case, he bought chicken for you and them?
Yeah, all of us.
And you asking me what you should do?
Yeah, right. He's really, yeah. I thought.
Yes, ma'am. That's it. Jason, is he a keeper? Yes, ma'am. He sure as hell is. As a matter of fact, I don't know what kind of leverage you think you got, ma'am. But no, you got the kids. You got chest tattoos. You got the whole 9. Ma'am, look here. I
kind of regret it, but
yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, you should be washing the clothes with the side chicks. I mean, I'm just gonna be totally honest with you. But in any case,
no, they flipped over to him. But you 3 and 5 years old.
Okay, well, what I'm gonna say is, definitely, I don't see any problems here, ma'am. You just ring out them chickens, ring out them drumsticks, and keep it pushing.
Hey, they weren't affected. 2 of them, I put them to the side.
Okay, well, no,
they put the paper in the box.
Yes, ma'am. You send him a thank you note for them little soggy wings, and be grateful and thankful. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what you do.
Cash out.
Yes.
I got it. Thank
Leave
you so
the
much.
casino. Thank you very much. Telling y'all, man, what is it going on out here? They got all kinds of ideas. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You are done. That is it. Leave the casino. You are through. No, nothing else. Do not head back to that damn table. Well, maybe I can get me one more. No, you can't. This is it right here. You stick it out and fight. You stick it out and fight. I know you seeing dudes drive around with G-Wagons and you telling yourself, well, I'm kind of light-skinned, so maybe I can grab one of them. Baby, only if you and 3 ambulance chasers tackle him. No, that's the man right there. That's it. He taking care of little Larry. Little Larry and Bushika, he taking care of them too, because I thought when she originally told me about this is actually a continuation of another discussion, but when she originally told me about this, I thought it was just, she had just gotten it. He had just gotten it for her. She didn't tell me this part. So you all heard me right. Oh, she didn't tell me that. She didn't tell me that he bought a 14. He feeding her and the kids. Let me tell you something. For all y'all baby mamas out there, if you got a fella who is willing to sit up here and he ain't walking by your children like they don't exist, you need to get down on your knees and kiss both butt cheeks is what you need to be doing. This idea that you all are just entitled, what the hell? You done already screwed up. You got somebody who is willing to give you the time of day about that and do something. This fella right here is sitting there being like, oh, by the way, let me do XYZ. Really? She was like, look here, you gonna come? I mean, no offense. No offense, Jacqueline. No offense. I mean, it wasn't like he was coming by for, New York's finest. And I don't mean the police. But my point is, ladies, come on now. Dude is out here taking care of he's feeding other folks' kids. He taking care of Minnie Marvin, Ray Jr. And she's like, well, he came by, but the drink was in the bag. Ma'am, you lucky there was a bag, period. I wish you would call Jason Black talking about that. Can you bring me some chicken by? Can you bring me a 14 piece? Ma'am, I can't spare 14 cents. Can you bring me one? No thanks. Ladies, come on now. And by the way, she's far from rare. Most of y'all are like that. It's just, she thinks the kids are invisible. She thinks nobody can see them. She's oblivious. She thinks the kids are invisible. She's perfectly fine with it. Ma'am, no, you found your last ticket to ride. You have found your last ticket to ride. This fellow took time out of his day to come bring you, to feed you and the kids? He's working 2 jobs so he can so he can bring something to you and them kids. What does he get? In New York, he gonna drive all the way over there in that terrible ass traffic. And you ain't grateful? Okay. Baby, this is the last train leaving. I don't know what you think is waiting on you out there. I don't know what else you think is waiting for you out there, but this is the last train leaving. You didn't hear that damn whistle blowing? That is the last train. You need to have a conversation with Lil Buckwheat and Lil Shaniqua and let them know, look here, this your new daddy. I don't want that daddy. Slap the hell out of him. I said this your new daddy. This is the last train leaving. I suggest you be on it. Be on it or be under it. Y'all, she had this fella here. I mean, I didn't even know. Now, that was the part I found out tonight. I'm like, okay, you didn't mention this before. He bought a whole damn 14-piece. First of all, she did that mess on purpose. You know that. She did that mess on purpose. 14 pieces, okay, because you know how single moms do it. Okay, if it's 14 pieces of chicken, that means it's going to be like 10 biscuits. Okay, they're going to be eating for the next 2 or 3 days. He ain't going to be there for 2 or 3 days, but they will be. You know how they get down? That's it. Baby, be glad this Negro answered the phone. Much less when you put in an order and he actually did it? She put in a damn Uber Eats order and he actually did it in New York. That's a man who fools with you for real. That is a man who fools with you for real. Yes, you need to cash out your chips. You damn sure do. Yes, ma'am. That's it. You are done. Exit the casino. Jason, is he the best you can do? Baby, you are overachieving right now. He's not the best you can do. He needs to be with somebody else. However, I'm talking to you right now, so I gotta, just like with Tony, and oh my goodness, I don't want to say her name because she'll be done popped up on me. Y'all know who she is. Okay, just like I warned him with her, I'm like, okay, I'm on the phone with her. I gotta tell Tina, oh damn it. Oh, okay, the phone lines are closed though. Okay, I ain't gotta worry. Watch her ass pop up on Zoom. Anyway, like I told Tina, okay, I'm on the phone with you, so I gotta help you hoodwink Tony, but okay, I'm on the phone with Jacqueline. I gotta help her hoodwink this dude because she called me. Ma'am, yeah, this is the last train leaving. If he's willing to come by and he don't know no better, I suggest you don't tell him. I suggest you don't tell him. Yes, he is a simp. He is a simp to hell, and she knows it. And she probably is like, I'll be damned. This nigga looks like Bookman. She probably like, I'll be damned. This nigga look like Bruce. Ma'am, this is the last train leaving. I suggest you get a ticket on the Bruce train. This is the last one leaving. I don't know what you think is coming after this one. I don't know how many others you think are going to pull into the station. But by the way, from what I've seen, yeah, that's the one. I suggest you don't let him get away. I have it on good authority. It only gets worse from here. Oh, hell, somebody just showed up on Zoom. Well, that doesn't look like Tina, so. Okay, watch me mess around and have a bait and switch. Watch me mess around and have a bait and switch out here. Folks, I'm just letting you know right now, if you go on Zoom, you need to turn your cameras on and stuff like that. You're not going to get on or anything else without it, so that's kind of important there. All right, bro, wake up now.
Hi, hello.
All right, what's your name?
Yes, sir. My name is Weston Alexander. I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Weston from D.C., and what's on your mind?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you for taking my call, and I want to say I have much love and respect for you. I learned a lot from you. I'm 23. And something you said earlier about, us young people having to live in our cars, it really hit home. And it made me think of the book Beyond the Pale Horse. I was listening to that earlier. And basically it was saying everything that y'all been saying tonight.
Now, do you mean Beyond the Pale Horse or Behold a Pale Horse?
I think it might be Behold.
Okay.
Might be Behold.
Because I'm familiar with Behold. I'm not sure if there's another one out there named Beyond, but go ahead.
Basically, in so many words, because this was my first time listening to it earlier, and it was basically saying the same thing, that it's coming to a position in the world where it's the have and the have-nots, and people don't realize that the haves have basically made us all useless eaters. And I don't really think people realize that. So for people my age, it's a tough position to be in. So I just wanted to parrot that everything you're saying is raining true. Sorry, I'm a little nervous right now, but
no, brother, look here. Like I say, when I came to DC a decade ago, it shocked me. It shocked me how that the prices to be in downtown DC, were the same as I was paying to park in downtown New York. And then Philadelphia was right behind it. And this is for somebody whose money, for the most part, was already straight to begin with. For those of you just coming up and whatnot, this is a hell of an environment to be in. This is a hell of an environment. I mean, the chips are stacked against y'all. So much of the old information, first of all, it's not like the schools were preparing my generation. It wasn't like they were properly preparing us. And for you all y'all got's just a bunch of obsolete nonsense being taught. They're teaching the boys how to wear skirts and prioritizing that. And meanwhile, not even telling you, oh, by the way, there are a bunch of ultra rich oligarchs out here who have already gobbled up most of the real estate. The builders who build the stuff are in bed with them. The government is a puppet to them. The media's job is to leave you at best misinformed and at worst utterly uninformed or confused. And you are expected to deal with a dollar that is worth 1/20th the value of your parents' dollar when they were your age, in an environment where all the chips, all the deck is stacked against you. And nobody, and to be specific about it, it's not enough to just say, well, poor man can't get ahead in this. No, we need to tell you specifically what it is, not just folks who are so beaten down and that they're babbling at you and just spouting gibberish. You need to know exactly what it is, so that you have some idea of what to do. Because I'm not going to tell you it's hopeless, because there are things you can do, but what I am going to tell you is it's going to be an uphill fight. It is going to be an uphill fight. And that's why, for those of you who, if your families ain't straight, they didn't do anything to get prepared. You were an unexpected baby. Nobody has set aside anything for you. You're coming out the damn gate with nothing. It's like it's worse than being an immigrant, to be totally honest. It's like being an alien, not even an illegal alien. I mean, an alien from another planet. You don't have nothing. So it's like you're the first generation of your family on American soil all over again. Every generation, we repeat this sick, demented cycle of you're just the first one. And the environment has changed, but your bloodline's socioeconomic and public standing hasn't. It's just frozen in place. And here you are with folk just basically saying, okay, well, here's 25 cents in a sandwich. Make it work. And that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not right. That's not decent. And I usually don't talk like this, because I usually want to get straight to the, okay, here's what you do part. But I've really been seeing this lately. And it's really gotten to me because, and I've been posting this online, that I'll be damned. They're talking, there's this place out of Texas or whatever, this builder out of Texas, he's building damn barns. These are barns that people are talking about, oh, we'll turn them into homes. They're like horse stables. It's cheaper construction, true, but the problem is it's cheaper construction. But these people are basically selling a damn barn for $300,000. A barn. And by the way, that's ballin'. When you talk about the Elon Musk homes, yeah, Elon Musk has a home for you all now. All 300 square feet of it. So the parents and the grandparents could have houses. Real houses. Like if a storm shows up, you wouldn't get blown away. I'm from Louisiana. Nigga, don't bring me no damn barn. We're in Tornado Alley. What the hell? But you're telling young people today that they can live in a barn, or they can live in a damn closet, or they can live in their car. This is insane. This is insane. And on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I just want the older folks, and like I said, I try to be careful about this kind of thing because I'm out here on the streets too. But I'm like, okay, if you done left the young people with nothing, what the hell do you think is going to happen out here? When you talk about the record rate of carjackings and things, what the hell you think going to happen? You done left the kids with nothing. And told them, oh, well, good luck to you. It's like, oh, no, it's going to be some luck tonight one way or the other. Well, you taking penitentiary chances. What I got to lose? We play a very dangerous game by giving these young people nothing to lose. We need to give them options out of the gate, because understand something. You're all familiar with the phrase, with the old saying that revolutions begin when the people on empty bellies. Revolutions begin when the people go hungry. When the people are hungry, that's what starts revolutions. And these young people, if you want to know why they're out here in the streets and doing what they're doing, they're hungry. And if you don't give them an option, they'll start coming up with their own ideas, and you won't like them. You won't like them at all. You can build a damn prison industrial complex that's not going to bring your wife back. That's not going to bring your daddy back. Messing over the children is the worst thing you can do. Old folk want to go home and sit back and take it easy. These young people, if they're out here and whatnot, if you don't give them a direction, they'll pick one. And it's wrong. This is dead ass wrong to have young people sitting up here, and it's the damn norm for them to be living in their freaking cars, and folks are sitting up here sitting around like this is okay. In California, they've changed the ordinances to basically they call it camping now. Camping my ass. They took out billions of dollars in a program in California, billions of dollars, and they were supposed to build like 40,000 units. They've built 4,000 or 5,000. So they're stealing billions of dollars. And then saying, here, you can go camp out in your car. And California's not the only place. California, New York, it's a number of other places that have done similar things. They sit up here and use that as a grift.
In D.C., they're kind of getting rid of that. I noticed they got rid of all the homeless people under the bridges. Who knows where they put them?
They hide them away. They squirrel them away for a little while. But the problem is, if you don't deal with the root causes, it's an issue. Now, usually the root cause of homelessness is going to be drug addiction is probably the biggest factor. But the socioeconomic ones, I'm talking about for the working poor, that's a different damn thing. If you got somebody who ain't on the pipe, they're not supposed to be homeless if they're willing to work. That's not supposed to be the case. And we're not supposed to be looking our 21-year-olds and 25-year-olds square in the damn eye and telling them where you can live in your car.
Right.
That's a damn insult. And I hope I'm never face to face with a politician who says something like that, because I'm old enough to I got something to lose, but I got bail money. I'll slap the fire out of them on you all's behalf. I'm sick of people saying that, because that's not right. That is not right. I remember from the documentary Outfoxed, when the fellow was saying at the end of it there that the current generation is committing the greatest sin that anybody can commit against their children. You are giving them a lesser life than you had. And that is the most unforgivable sin you can commit against your own children, to give them a worse life than you had. Your entire purpose for being is to make sure that your heirs have a better life than you, or at the very least that their life is equal. You're not supposed to die before you pass on a lesser world to them. And don't be surprised if you attempt to pass on a lesser world to your children and your children come up with different ideas. Well, I can't afford a car, but I think I can take yours, Pops. It sickens me. And I've been doing everything I can for a decade. I'm just one guy. But I've been doing everything I can for a decade to tell this story and to give it a voice. But I'm sickened by it. And I wish I could say it was limited. We used to be able to say this was a California issue. Please. That's an anachronism. It's not a California issue. It's an everywhere issue now. Brother, I've traveled this country from coast to coast. It's everywhere now. It's everywhere. Austin, Texas. Dallas, Texas. Atlanta, Georgia. I've seen them. I've seen them. And they squirrel them away for a little bit. And then it's back to usual. Because if you're not fixing the problem, next week is going to be another group of 21-year-olds or whatever showing up. This is a huge waste of resources.
Mr. Black, you're one of the people I learned a lot from. So I feel like you can probably resonate with the statement. Would you say that, for lack of a better word, looking at most Black people, it's almost like the Walking Dead? Like they don't even realize their number is already, they already got a number. You know, it's only a matter of time before they're obsolete. They're out of the system. They don't have anywhere to go, anywhere to work. And only the handful of Black people who are skilled, who have the resources together, and who are conscious that are going to survive. Would you say that is a fair assessment?
I want you all to think about something for a moment. The people who died on 9/11, the government cut them a check. They set up a huge multi-billion-dollar fund to cut them a check. 10 Black folk just got gunned down in Buffalo, New York. Ain't nobody lined up to pay them nothing. You want to talk about being obsolete? Think about that for just a few moments. Now, I can name a couple of massacres where people got paid. I want to say that school down there in Lakeland, Florida. I want to say they got paid off of that. 10 Black folk just got killed up there. In North Charleston, when Dylan Roof killed them Black folk. Who's paying them? Buffalo, New York. Who's paying them? Is that obsolete enough for you? We're already there. We're not on our way. We're already there. This is what we kind of do. We kind of pretend like the problem comes so slow, or we're just so oblivious to it. It's like, oh, well, you think it's going to be that way? It's like the frog in the skillet. The heat is turned up and we just are oblivious. But, oh, no, our feet are not just warm. We're halfway cooked. Hell, 3/4 cooked. Brother, we're already there. We are already there right now. The greatest form of control in the world is to convince people that they have an option. And somebody once described it to me very eloquently. Imagine a voting machine that the electric cord wasn't plugged in. I'm talking about one of the old manual voting machines. Well, it needs electrical power to transmit the signal of what you voted for. But you can actually pull the damn levers, and yeah, you can pull the levers and push the buttons, and yeah, that's great. But if it's not plugged up, then your vote's not actually being counted. So you're going through the motions, and it might emotionally satisfy you, but you actually didn't do anything. So you believe your circumstances are changing when in reality, everything's the same. And that's where we're at right now. People are convinced at best that their circumstances are changing. In reality, it's actually the same. So, yeah, brother, I'm not going to say you are. We're already there. We're already there. That dystopian future people talking about, brother, this is what it looks like. It's real cute to make movies like Mad Max and Elysium and whatnot. That would be too damn obvious. You can't really find too many places on earth that look like that. When Black people were in chattel slavery, the plantations were beautiful. I know, I've been to many of them. I'm from Louisiana. Think about that for a few moments. Yeah, it wasn't rain every day. It wasn't like the movie Equilibrium. It wasn't all gray and rainy. That's Hollywood. Brother, in the real world, domination, oppression, and obsolescence looks like the plantations. The sun is bright and shiny. Cool breeze. It's like any other day. Except you have no money. And I've been young, and I know what it's like to be young and broke. Let me tell you, it's hell being young and broke. It is hell. It is hell to be in a place and to see all this stuff around you and you can't get, you have no access to any of it. Not even basics. That's the definition of hell. And the sun is shining, but for you, you can't feel it because your mind is somewhere else. So most of us are already in that position, brothers. It's ultra vulnerability. One paycheck away from being homeless or already there. Lifestyle is already limited. You getting by however you get by. We're already there. We've been there for a century, but as a people, man, we're already there. I've just tried to make it my work to communicate to as many people as I can, help as many as I can. But as far as what you're talking about, brother, we're already there. We've been there.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. Last thing I'm going to say is to kind of tie it all back to the topic of the conversation. My situation is basically a result of everything the older gentlemen today have been talking about. I am one of the last strong Black males in my family who stands on principle. And I just couldn't stay in that environment because it was just too much. It's too much. It was just dragging me down emotionally and psychologically. And I have a lot of potential that I didn't want to go to waste arguing with people who are essentially dead. They're not really going anywhere in their life. So
it would be better for you to be alone and without distractions and intrusions than to be in an environment with a bunch of folk who are comfortable being where they are. Because you know the old saying, if you are with 5 broke people, you're going to be the 6th. So it would be better for, I tell the females, it's better to be the side chick to a fellow who's building than to be the main chick to a fellow who's going nowhere. I'd rather see you by yourself than to be around a bunch of folks who are going nowhere and who are encouraging or pressuring or creating an environment that prevents you from getting anywhere. That is the worst thing that could happen. That's the worst thing, because folks who've given up on themselves can't teach you to do anything except give up on yourself. And nobody sits down and says, I gave up on myself. That's not what happens. What happens is in your practices, in your daily life, from the moment you get up to the moment you go to sleep, that's when you communicate, I've given up on myself. Nobody ever says those words, not with words. They say it with their actions. I want to thank you for giving us a call tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Be one.
As always. You know, I'm just one person. I don't get to talk about this stuff very much, but I just want to tell you right now, it kills me. It kills me to no end. I do not like that at all. I don't like seeing young people out here struggling. I want to see all of you have a better world than we did. So if you want to know why it is that you all heard me, I made the phrase, you got to watch these old niggas. Yeah, now you know why. Because somebody needs to speak up for the young. And a lot of these young people have been taught to sit up here and praise the people who put them in a bind. Praise the people who sabotage their lives. And they need to hear somebody sit up here and say, no, you don't have to do that. They've conditioned you and brainwashed you into believing that you owe them, hey, you screwed up my life. Thank you very much. No, you don't. They need to hear from somebody that, no, you don't have to thank them for that. Not at all. Not at all. We've been on here for a minute tonight, but it's been worth it here. Hey, Rosalind, London, everybody else who's contributed on Super Chat, thank you very much here. Also, another big shout out to Vincent Yarbrough. Thank you very much for your contribution tonight, brother. You've been lighting up the whole time here, so thank you very much for showing your appreciation. And to all of you here as well. If you're new here to the business, welcome to the program that laid the foundation upon which all these red pill MGTOW high-value posers and alpha male frauds out there have got the game from. They'll be copycatting this next week, especially my explanation of the coming male majority. A lot of folks are going to have to start scrambling to rewrite their philosophies and beliefs. If you want to be ahead of the curve and you don't want to be caught unawares like them and having to scramble at the last second to realize that you were expressing fallacies all this time, if you want to be in a place that doesn't have to worry about that, you found it. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell, join us every time. Hey, and if you haven't signed up for our Patreon, the link is in the description of the video. You'll definitely want to join us this weekend. I have a few things in particular I want to talk about. I also have an upcoming workshop for credit, so something in particular there. Everybody's been asking me about that, so I'm definitely working on that as well. So be looking out for that also. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.